Warning. You are entering Open Lines Friday. For today anything goes. Thank you for your cooperation.
Listos pe los chingazos! Listos pe los chingazos!
I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
All right, this is King Bucho. Welcome to BDA Boxing, the Boxing Debate Arena Friday. So it's Open Lines Friday. Anybody can join. Everybody should join. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Team Batman Boxing, SSC, Knockout Ned, Eparacua, Cerny Banders, Alfredo Conteras. We have one foot out the door. Who else here? Knockout Ned. Yeah. Guys, welcome to the show. First, I want to give also a shout out to everybody who has joined the BDA membership program. As you can see the names right there. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody who has joined the BDA membership program. All right. Link is it in the description? Hold on. Nope. I will add the link in the description. I will add the Discord link in the chat. Anybody can join. I'm already there. All right, let's start talking boxing here. So, well, I read a few things today. One of them was this rumor. Should we start with that? Let's start with that. The rumor that Josh Taylor might not fight. What's his name again? Shit, Carol. I can't even pronounce his name. That British guy, English, who he should have lost to. So that fight is not going to happen because he got some sort of injury. And now they're talking about Taylor fighting Teofimo Lopez in May or June. So I want to know what you guys think about that fight. A lot of people are pissed off because they say that he should actually rematch the other. What's his name? Jesus, I'm forgetting all this. Hold on.
Okay. Jack Catterall.
Catterall, yeah. It's like I have Alzheimer. Yeah, Catterall. He should rematch Catterall because he actually lost that fight. I should have lost. He should have lost that fight. Some people say it was close, but it could have gone either way. Either way, it's a fight that deserves a rematch. But then again, this fight against Teofimo Lopez is pretty fucking interesting, right? It's not a fight that you can just say no to.
Bro?
What's
With
that?
Catterall and Taylor. How long ago did that fight happen? Like almost 2 years, right?
No. It was last year, no?
It was last year?
I think so, man. I'm losing.
It was the end of 2021.
Oh, probably. Okay.
Mistaken.
Holy, let me check. But anyways, but so what? What's your point? What's your opinion on this?
I'm saying they're in that they're dragging their feet too much with that. You know, it's like shit on the.
Oh, I don't know how true was it.
He said at a press conference he was lying. He said he talked to his manager about it, and they said just lie.
Oh shit! It was Tony Harrison himself who admitted that it was not true. I never heard of it.
Yeah, he said so many words, you know.
Yeah. I get you. I'm just surprised because I never heard of it. I never knew up till now. Yeah, but going back to Taylor, man, I don't know. I mean, look, to me, a fight against Teofimo sounds very interesting, great for sure. I would love to see it. It would be interesting, but it's a bad look on him. I mean, first of all, his problems making weight, and then looking terribly against Catterall, and then now after promising that he will rematch him, it's just a terrible look for him not to go into rematch. So yeah, the way it looks, you can argue. I'm not saying that that's the case, that's what's happening, but you can argue that he faked the injury and then moved on to fight someone else in Teofimo Lopez. Instead, I think it would be much better for him if he would rematch Catterall before fighting Teofimo. Yeah, afterwards, I would love to see him fight Teo. It would be interesting. That's a very good fight, but it's a bad look for him, not to rematch him, especially when most of the people thought he lost. I caught that fight late. Wasn't watching it in its entirety, but from what I was seeing, I thought too that Catterall beat him. So terrible.
So you think Josh Taylor is afraid of fighting this guy again?
I'm not saying, Bucho, that's certainly the case, but to me, in my mind, there's a good possibility of it because of the way he's acting. Why not waiting to rehabilitate from that injury and then rematch Catterall if that's not the case? And I was not believing that it was the case. I thought, Taylor is willing to rematch him because he knows he looked terrible in the first fight. But now with this, I'm starting to, to question him, like thinking to myself, well, maybe after all, maybe he's real kind of afraid to fight him again, to look bad again.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, a fight against Teofimo Lopez, it's a much bigger fight, economically speaking, financially speaking. So why take a risk and fight Catterall again, right? Maybe it's not that he's that afraid of him. It's just that he's playing it a little bit safe,
It's probably more worth it to take a risk against Teofimo than to take another risk against Catterall,
Yeah, but it's a big fight against Teofimo Lopez. I mean, he's gonna earn much more, and who knows? Maybe he's more confident that he can beat Teofimo Lopez. Why not? I mean, who knows?
Probably because Teofimo's looking kind of vulnerable, right? With that, do I still got it? Looking ass after the fight, saying stuff like that.
Which fight?
After his last fight, he's right there on the ropes asking one of his people, do I still got it? Like, he didn't feel confident in that win,
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he saw something there. And Josh Taylor, his last fight was Catterall, February the 26th, 2022. So at the beginning of 2022. So yeah, it's gonna be a year now.
Just 1 year, bro, right?
Yeah. What are people saying in the chat regarding this fight? The Paracua says Taylor and Teo have things to prove, so they are in similar positions. Are they in similar positions, people? What do you think? One is a champion, though. One is still a champ, although, with that controversial win, but still an undisputed champion. While Teofimo Lopez, where is he now in his career, though? Like, has he fully convinced you guys that he's back or no?
No, I'm not even fully convinced he won that Sandor fight, bro.
I think he's in a they're in very different positions because the Catterall fight, many thought that Catterall won. So people were saying, either Taylor's a hype job, Taylor's not disciplined, he's struggling to make weight now. And as for Teofimo, it's just like people are just thinking, oh, he's a hype job, but it's for many different reasons. Oh, he's struggling with mental health. He's not going to take the power at 140. So I think both are going in there with something to prove, and hopefully it's a good fight. So yeah.
So do you guys see Teofimo Lopez as a 140-pound top contender at this point, or do you still want to see more of him at 140?
I want to see a bit more, but hey, this is a good fight, so I'm all for it. You know what I mean?
Right, but you would give Taylor more of a you would give Teofimo Lopez more of a chance against of winning the fight against Taylor if he had more fights at 140. Like basically, you're saying he's not ready.
Yeah, but he has the tools to win. He just needs to get his head in the game. Does that make sense?
So it's a mental issue here.
Exactly. And a chin issue. Because his chin is questionable at this weight.
Good point.
And you know what, Bucho? I was thinking about what you just said. I mean, if Top Rank, if Teofimo is still with Top Rank, which I would guess is the case, if they were really believing in Teofimo of having such a great chance to dominate 140, they would kind of be more patient with him at 140 because he didn't look great in his first two fights at 140, and neither of those two fights were against top 140 fighters. So it's to me it seems it may be like a cash out, or Teofimo wanting to get as money as possible, as quickly as possible to get big fights. To me, it's either the case of Top Rank or Teofimo wanting to get big money fights as soon as possible.
Could be that. It could be Teofimo Lopez. He was asking if he still got it. Maybe he feels like he needs a big fight in order to be motivated. Maybe it's a motivation type of issue that he's dealing with right now. I'm just speculating, obviously. I have no idea. It could be that.
It could be because when he fights better opposition, he performs better. But as for Taylor, it could be more. I've been thinking it's more of Taylor saying, "Look, I'm probably not going to be here any longer. So if I'm going to have one more fight, I want to make some good money off of it with the Teofimo fight." Because let's face it, that press conference is going to be. It's probably not going to be like where they're going to be going for each other's throats, but they're going to be going back and forth with words, and both have entertaining styles. And yeah, I think this is a good fight. It's not going to make crazy numbers, but I think it's going to make really good numbers. So I think Taylor's thinking, look, I'm probably not going to be here any longer. So if I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave with some good money. You know what I mean? Leaving the weight class, not boxing as a whole.
Yeah, it's possible. Possible. Listen, this is all speculation at this point. Pacquiao in the chat says Catterall is better than Martin, equally elusive but stronger and punches harder. He's certainly on a higher level than Martin. That's for sure. That's for sure. But like G was saying, Teofimo Lopez performs much better when he's fighting higher opposition. So maybe that's what he needs. What else are people saying in the chat here? Pound for pound king. He says Teo hasn't got the advantage he had against 134 pounders. The power isn't there like it was at 135. What do you guys think about that? The power issue. Is the power still there? I think there's still power, but obviously if you're moving up in weight, power it's not gonna be the same unless you're Manny Pacquiao or something like that.
I agree. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, I think so too. Because look, Teofimo's power at the moment at 140, you kind of could say it's kind of still there because his power is not only about his pure punching power, but also explosiveness. And when you have explosiveness, you tend to keep your power when you move up in weight. But yeah, he's not naturally extremely heavy-handed. He seemed heavy-handed because he was fighting at 135. Now at 140, not only it's not the exact same effect, but also you have Taylor, who has a good chin, very good chin, and is a big 140 pounder. Keep in mind, we are talking about the guy who's complaining about struggling to make weight and wants to move up to 147. So certainly his power. I wouldn't think it would affect Taylor very much.
Yeah. By the way, I also thought, you know what, Taylor might be struggling to make 140. So he's like, well, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get this Teofimo Lopez fight anytime soon if I don't fight him now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? But it's a good fight. I'd like to see that fight. Just sucks for Cotterell because, well, you know, he deserves a rematch, in my opinion.
I do. I think so too. But if anything, they can just make that fight at a catch weight. You know what I mean? It's not impossible to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. What else is in the news here? Shakur Stevenson made some comments about Lomachenko. Let me just go to the article here. Actually, let me just show it to people as well. Oops. Anyways, he was saying that Teofimo Lopez is a small lightweight, and that's why he has him losing against Devin Haney. Lomachenko's too small, and he's getting old. Is he right? Is he wrong?
I would say he's kind of right. I mean, not that I would pick Haney over Loma. It's still something that I will have to decide on. But at this point of Loma's career, being 35, Haney's size may be something that could trouble him. What Joe Biscuit in the chat is saying, Loma ain't small man, Shakur is too big man, should be fighting at 147, not being a weight bully at 126, 30, and 35. I could say the same for Haney. It's Haney who's huge, you know.
Yeah. But I think that big thing, I could be wrong in saying this, but I don't think it's going to last that much longer. Maybe we might even see it come to an end in this Loma fight. But that weight cut, it's going to be affecting Haney eventually. Did you see him in the last weigh-in against Kambosos?
No. Oh, yeah, his face. He looked, yeah.
Dude, those are signs of, like, listen, if there's someone that's going to be able to tag him up, it's Loma, and if he gets tagged up, it's not going to be pretty if you ask me. And another thing that people are starting to forget is, outside of the Kambosos fight, even though it was, I didn't see the rematch, but I heard the left hook was landing early, at least in the early going, like it was a little bit competitive. But Devin Haney's super susceptible to left hands. Linares hurt him with the left hand, partially a right hand, but it was mostly the left hooks. Jojo Diaz was almost landing that left hand at will, mainly the overhands. I think if it's not going to take an effect, if he's not going to lose it in the Loma fight, he's definitely losing at 140. So he's in a really bad spot because at 140, there's going to be guys that are just as big as him, more or less, and they're going to be going in like going in to hurt him because if you look at the styles of the guys at 140, a lot of them are I want to hurt you guys. They're not the running and clinching kind of guys. So I don't know how Haney's going to do at 140. So I think he's in big trouble. If he's not fighting tune-ups, he's in big trouble with the top opposition, whether it's Lomachenko or the top guys at 140, if you ask me.
All right, let me just read the two comments here. The Quacks, thank you for rejoining the membership program. He says, I think Teofimo Lopez gets stopped at 140. Taylor is an awful fight for him. Taylor in 10 rounds. All right, the Quacks sees Josh Taylor as the massive favorite in that fight. Michael Poe says, thank you for your contribution, by the way, Michael. He says, please let us get a decent fight soon. I agree, man. We need a fight. We'll look at the calendar, at the schedule later, and we'll see, you know, what the next big fight is or might be. Thank you for that contribution. And you guys were saying, I mean, listen, I think Shakur Stevenson, he is maybe a big lightweight, and that's true. And it's also true that Lomachenko is a small lightweight. You know what I mean? That's how the way I see it. You know what?
Well, yeah.
I wonder what these anti-Lomachenko fans are going to be saying now regarding this comment, because most of us have been saying that Lomachenko is a small lightweight, and they would laugh at us. And, oh, you're just making up excuses and stuff like that. Now Shakur Stevenson is saying it. I mean, it's a fact. Just look at the guy. His head is really small. His shoulder length is small. He's a small lightweight. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah. Go on, Jerson.
No, you go.
I insist. Okay.
All right. I'll say this though. Between the two, if I want to be a big weight bully that doesn't really have the biggest power, or a smaller lightweight who is known for hurting my opponents multiple times, even if I don't drop them, but I still have my opponents respect me for my power and my skills, I'd rather be in Loma's shoes than in Haney's shoes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I mean, look,
and Loma has a really good chin. Like, his chin is very underrated, if you ask me. So yeah.
Yeah, and look, it's no question that the stylistic matchup favors Loma. Loma, yeah, he struggled against Teofimo and against Ortiz, but the way they were fighting, they were throwing punches in bunches, combos to the body and up whenever he would step into their range. Haney is not like that. Haney, instead of that, may try to clinch, and surely it would be, I'm not saying that it would be easy for Loma, but it would be easier to deal with Haney trying to clinch, especially since Loma showed that he can deal with that, people trying to clinch him. What was difficult for him, being a much smaller fighter, is those Teofimo and Ortiz throwing those combos the moment he steps into the range, so he had, as a smaller guy, to back down, to back up.
Mm-hmm.
And to Butcher's point, to what he read about Shakur Stevenson, I mean, if they're calling Loma White Jesus, then it's one of their Black Mohammeds who are admitting that Loma is a small fighter.
It is, exactly. One last quote here from Shakur Stevenson on this ESPN article. Sorry, Boxing Scene article. He says, I think Devin Haney smokes him. He probably jabs him all night, moves right hands. He's going to outbox Lomachenko. I just think Devin is too big, too fast.
Jojo Diaz disagrees.
Now, thank you for bringing that up.
All right, we have...
Bucho.
Yes, Jimmy, go ahead.
What's up, brother? I just want to add to that. It's kind of funny because if that's the case, you would think that it would be the other way around. Because as of right now, as reported by Steve Kim, that Lomachenko has agreed to everything and has his ink on the paper. He's signed, ready to go. All the holdups, 100% on David Haney's, and it's been one thing after another. It was size of ring, it was the thickness of the pad, it was it's been one holdup after another holdup after another holdup, basically trying to just age him out in a certain kind of way, and maybe frustrate him, I don't know. But this fight could have already even taken place for all the bullshit. But again, like Steve said, and when this all falls apart, that he didn't say that, I'm adding this because I think it's going to fall apart. They're going to try to spin the narrative, because that means I really believe they never had intentions of fighting him. Why would the father go on to, unreputable content contributors platforms to tout that bullshit? They were just straight out lies.
What did they say?
Co-signing. That race beta, that black Israelite bitch there, goes on and says all kinds of stupid shit. What's going on there? I don't even want you to fight Lomachenko. We here I don't even think you should fight him, and a bunch of other people agreeing with her. And because when he had the belts, he ducked you. He wanted nothing to do with you. And then someone else said, and then he went off into went to the war instead of fighting you. Like, it's like, holy shit! Could you be any more detached from reality? Here's the facts of the matter. The year that Lomachenko became a belt holder in late August of that year, that early January, he was still fucking Haney was still a contender status. But anyways, let's put forward till end of August of that year. I believe it was 2019. Yeah, 2019. Yes, he became the lightweight champion. All right. Well, what he had not within 2 weeks of him winning that belt, that's when Haney was named his mandatory by the WBC. Well, he was in camp, mind you. Haney was in camp getting ready for, I believe the name was Santiago, the kid he was fighting. Okay, which that fight was scheduled for October. So Loma just won it, I believe almost the last month of August. Within 2 weeks, that's when he was named. In the interim, while this was going on, he was in camp for that. Bob was petitioning the WBC to name him as champion, whatever, that franchise, just because he wanted to force or get he was focusing just on the Teofimo Lopez. Anyways, that was in talks. Fast forward till October, Haney has his fight, blows his shoulder out bad enough in that fight that a week after he goes and sees a doctor and they schedule him for surgery. He goes under the knife in January of 2020. Lomachenko Lopez was announced the following day. Okay, then the pandemic hit, shut everything down. That was in March. That hit. That pushed Lomachenko and Lopez off, but it was still already, the fight was, all that. Well, on the other hand, Haney, after his surgery, was told he would be sidelined for a minimum of 6 months to recuperate. My point being, at no time, it was a physical impossibility for Lomachenko to have even entertained fighting Haney from the time he became the 135-pound champion. Yes, Haney was mentioned, he was as his mandatory at the WBC while he was in camp to fight somebody else. Again, blew his shoulder out, surgery. In the meantime, before he was even able to fight again, Loma had lost the belts. So the narrative that he skipped him or avoided him is a lie. It is a lie as bad as a lie could be. And my point is, why would you push that or co-sign it? Why wouldn't you say, well, no, man, that's just silly. He couldn't have fought. They couldn't have fought. It was just the timetable's all wrong. But him on, yep, co-signing it away, unless you're trying to already. So to me, you're already a fucking slimy motherfucker. So I wouldn't put it past you to go on and pull bullshit. But yeah, that's my spiel on that.
My question is this, Jimmy. Even if the fight happens, do you think the weight cut will affect him by now? Because I asked some of the other, I told the other guys this. Like, Haney hasn't been looking good, and his defensive leaks, like his susceptibility to left hands and stuff, and right hooks, I believe, are things Loma could easily get a hold of. Do you think Loma's too old to take advantage of that? Or do you think... Thank you.
No. It might be slower. His reflexes might not be as quick as when he was in his mid-20s, but he hasn't been in that many wars. The thing is, what Haney does well, he does well. Keeping people out at the end of a jab. His best work is from mid-range out. He is not an inside fighter. He has no inside game at all. In fact, if anybody does cross into the inside, what does he do? He reaches out and grabs them. Lomachenko is not going to stand there like he's on a slow dance like Kambosa did. And another thing, Loma's a southpaw. We've already seen Haney have trouble with the little southpaw, Jojo Diaz, who was tagging him up all night. Yes, it was a one-sided fight because of the fucking size difference, and plus Jojo Diaz doesn't punch hard. Lomachenko punches hard enough to definitely hurt Haney. And he's a southpaw, and he's a master at space. So, and I think they know that, and I think they know it's going to be a, you know what I mean? It's going to be a rough fight, and I don't think they want to lose to him because, listen, he should have never said what he said. I ain't never losing to a white boy. When you say something that fucking stupid, that's fucking huge. So then he turn around, if he was to lose to Lomachenko, the ration of shit he'd get by people from that. I mean, why even put
Jimmy,
that out there?
Did he put on himself additional pressure now?
Of course. Of course.
Here's my other thing, Jimmy. I asked the other, not that I asked, but I told the other guys this as well. I think, personally, Haney is in big trouble, whether he fights Lomachenko or the top guys at 140. I think his best option is cherry-picking at 140 with B to C-level guys. Because if he fights the top guys who are more of killers than boxers, even though a lot of them have great skill, but they're going in there to take your head off, he's in big trouble. But That's just my take on it. So yeah,
140 to 135 is huge. That's really, but it's only 5 pounds, but you're dealing usually with people a couple inches taller, longer length, and hit harder. So it's, yeah, anytime you go up in weight, ideally for any fighter, I don't care who you are, the ideal thing is to hit as hard as you can possibly hit at the smallest possible weight. Because obviously it's always to your advantage to be the bigger guy in there. And you lose every bit, like even Shakur will lose a little. He'll not be as dominant at 135 as he was at 130.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Hey, Jimmy.
At 140 won't be as dominant there. Yes, brother.
Someone in the chat is saying that you sound offended by what Devin Haney said
I don't know what he said.
about, I think, losing to a white boy,
that-
probably.
Man, a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I was offended by that. I was offended by it because if Lomachenko had said, I ain't never going to lose to a black boy, imagine what would happen.
Oh my God. Pandemonium.
Yeah.
Imagine what would happen.
Pandemonium.
Yeah. My point is, like, just keep the fucking race out of it. It has nothing to do with it. It's
Yeah.
two dudes who
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
It just didn't need to be added. And he said it. And I think he must have somehow in somewhere like, well, I shouldn't have said that because it was stupid. It was a stupid thing to add, but he said it because he knew whose channel he was on when he
Yeah.
said it. He was on a channel with a fucking variant racist who hates white people. And that's the narrative it pushes.
Yeah.
So he was doing it for fucking, and that's the reason why his father hangs on those sites.
Let me ask you something, guys. Who do you think will be given the victory if the fight is competitive? Because if let's say if realistically Loma deserves to win 7-5 or 8-4, I do think that there is a possibility that they would give that to Loma, and I'm saying that because of what I heard from Pali Malignaggi. He made an interesting point like a month or two ago, talking about that fight in between Loma and Haney. He said that being that Haney doesn't sign long-term deals and is moving up, that Bob Arum would want Loma to win to keep those 4 belts at 135 at top rank, and so he could match him up later with Stevenson. So I'm not sure, but yeah, it seems to me like a serious possibility, which I would be glad. But what do you think about it, guys?
No, but official, you make a lot of sense. And also, if what Jimmy was saying is true, that Devin Haney is making it difficult, he's making it difficult for this fight to take place, with the fight with Lomachenko, then it shows that Haney, he's a difficult guy to work with. So why would you want him on your stable? Imagine then, okay, let's get a Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney fight, and then Devin Haney starts pulling out all that bullshit again. Nah.
He's only had one fight with Top Rank, the Cambosos fight, right? What was it? Or was both fight with? Okay, both with. Okay, all right, so both were with him. So he's got those 2 belts under the table. One was a mandatory because it was the rematch clause. So there really wasn't anything Top Rank could do. So basically, he only represented him for the first fight. But already, how many times has this guy gone to the fucking press to complain about Top Rank's treatment? I feel they're trying to push me into this during Ramadan. I feel they're trying to push me, blah, blah, blah. It's like you're already complaining about fucking Top Rank when nobody else, including the people who lost money on you, DAZN, didn't want to finance it because you didn't bring in those kind of metrics. So here comes Bob to step up and represent you and give you the best representation you could possibly get. I'll tell you what, why don't you go over to the fucking Showtime? I mean, over to PBC and stew over there in stagnation land.
No.
How do you think things are there? He's been paid extremely well, first by DAZN. So he's made money, but he complained about DAZN. He complains about Bob already. Whereas Lomachenko, he's been around since 2015, right? When did he come on the scene? 2016, 2015, whatever. At no time you ever heard him complain once about it. You never heard about any contract stipulations or issues. If he, like he said, I'll fight you, whatever, let's do it. And he's on the road. Every time he fights, he's on the road. You know what I mean? The same people who fucking, wanted to blow out their shoulder, patting themselves on the back because Haney went to Australia. Yeah, great. And remember, that don't fight only if the Ukraine war wouldn't have happened, if, that wouldn't even have been him. That would have been Lomachenko because Kambosos wanted to fight Lomachenko, and Lomachenko said, fine, The only problem, Australian people saying, but there might be an issue with the COVID because of restrictions. And he's like, I'll move my camp there. I mean,
So,
could you get any more fucking, and he was going to do it, but then that thing happened.
Yeah.
Why do some fighters behave like that? Is it a diva? They act like divas because they think themselves as
It could be that
superstars?
incompetence.
Or,
I think it's a
what's the
combination of
problem?
that and confidence. I think they're not 100% confident. Because if you know in your heart, if you have 100% believability that you're going to do this, dude, why the fuck would you yeah, whatever, let's do it. I'm getting mine. Let's do this because I'm going to win. I'm going to knock this dude out. Like, that's how people used to always look at it. That was always the chance, you know what I mean? The underdog chance. Give me my shot. I'll make the best of it. But again, he's had things have gone his way, very, much so in as a professional boxer. He's made a lot of money, definitely more than he should have been making. I mean, that's DAZN throwing that kind of money around was as stupid as what the PBC did when they first got their bank.
Yeah, he came around.
Created a bunch of divas.
Devin Haney came around when DAZN was throwing around a lot of money. He normally would have not made that money if they.
Nope.
Good point.
He was getting $3 million a fight against no hopers.
No,
I mean, Gamboa got $3 million to face fucking the shell of Gamboa.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
it's kind of hard. Now he's
again,
coming back. He's not going to make that. What's that?
What's the issue now with the Lomachenko fight? What's he asking for? Any specifics, or is just
he just wants more money?
more money?
From what I was already told, there was Lomachenko has given into 2 different or 3 different, stipulations, including financial ones already. And now they're trying to do this. It's the same thing. It's like he's already it's almost like the Al Haymon thing. Look what he's doing with the fucking Davis fight. I mean, Davis is the only one who's allowed a fucking rematch clause, meaning if Davis loses, right, he gets to pick a rematch clause. If Garcia loses, Bafangu, you get nothing. But if you do win, right, which from time immemorial would make you the A side in the next fight in the rematch, the same way Fury and Wilder, once he knocked Wilder out, he was the man in that third fight. It'd be the same way, and it's always been that way. So, okay, you want to demand the fucking rematch clause that only you get? But fine. But so Oscar's thing is, okay, fine, but I am going to be, we take over, meaning DAZN has invested a lot of money into Ryan. Will have their shot to fucking put this fight on, not Showtime. And if Heyman's going, nope, not happening. We want total. It's like he's trying to treat Oscar the way he treats every other promoter. You're subservient to me. You do what I say. This happens how I want to do it. And if I was Oscar, I'd tell him to go fuck himself 50 ways past payday. Seriously.
I heard they resolved that.
It's clear that he is trying to get the type of contract that they know no one would sign. It's basically a way to duck without saying that you're ducking. And I was listening to your last show. I was listening to the last show with Rarebreed, and man, he's so dishonest. He compared that fight, defending Tank Davis being the A side over Ryan Garcia by comparing it with Canelo and Bivol, and disparity in popularity between those two fighters.
That's the
way bigger than it is between Ryan and Haney. So either you're stupid or dishonest. No other way.
Yeah, but I heard that they resolved it. That they sent the contract that the demands that they wanted for Golden Boy.
Now, when did you hear that? I'm not doubting you did.
It's on Twitter today. I saw on Twitter.
Twitter today? Okay. Yeah. Saying now, who's the one who tweeted that? Because I know Ray Jackson said that it's going to be announced during the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
breaking news. He put out a tweet.
I think I saw Espinoza. I think no, Espinoza. I can't remember who's put it, but someone said that they it was breaking news that they had sent the contract to Golden Boy with the revised rematch clause.
Let's cross our fingers.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, let's see if he gave in to that, because I know that Golden Boy has stated that he's not backing off that, nor should he. I mean, come on, fair is fair. That's almost as absurd as saying we're only going to pay you off the back end, off the books, but you can't see the books. Meaning you're going to have to take what we say. Yeah, with Crawford. I mean, that's such an insult. So Crawford, I mean, again, he capitulated to everything, to every demand, everything. Finally, okay, you mean no guarantee? So every Spence fighter he's ever faced has had guaranteed paydays. Every one of them, they guaranteed money. But now in the biggest fight of his career, the one people have been asking for over 4 years, now there's no guaranteed money. And on top of that, there's no guaranteed money. We're just going to give you a slice. You're going to get paid off the books. And even then, he's like, okay, I'll get paid off the back end. And then his lawyer says, but obviously we're going to be able to see your books. And when they say books, what they mean by that is what you pay taxes on. That's what the books means, because they can't lie about that. If they pay taxes on 320,000 pay-per-views, that's what it's sold. But Haymon even said to that, nah, you're not going to see the books. I will give you an itemized listing. And they even said that in a tweet that it was Kelly Swanson, not Errol. Without a doubt, it was Kelly Swanson writing as Errol, or told him what to write. And she said, and Errol said in his tweet that we told him he would have a handwritten itemized list. Yeah, so what Al Haymon tells you it does. So you're supposed to trust a guy who's involved in ticket scalping, who's fucking swindled $750 million off retirees and can't explain where it went? Who took that valuation of that company within a handful of years and took it from $750 million, having it on paper right now in the SEC filing that it's 0.0. And what did you get out of it? He never made back any money. Yeah, how can you trust him? Everybody he worked with in the music industry filed bankruptcy. All the big names he worked with. Alicia Keys, fucking MC Hammer.
Wow.
So
in the chat we have D-Cade. He's saying these guys are prize fighters. Why should they fight for francs and beans?
Because it's how much they could generate. And if they're not generating enough, I mean, no one is going to pay them. Remember to that guy who called one time to the show saying that Floyd Mayweather would pay Crawford and Spence out of his good heart.
No, he won't do that.
Sure.
I mean, they could get investors together, but the writing was on the wall a year ago this month. Tim Smith, the vice president of communications for Haymon Boxing, came out and said that. And again, nobody who works for Al is ever going to speak on the company without it first going through Al, or you get fired. And there's enough of a fucking receipts to prove that's how Haymon deals with it. So with Haymon's, talking over Haymon, he goes out and says, yeah, we didn't even make Crawford an offer for the Spence fight because we don't want to insult him. Plus, nobody's going to buy this pay-per-view. They're all going to, the people who are interested in this are going to steal it. First off, fucking PBC fans should have been insulted as fuck just on that statement, but it seemed to roll off everybody's back. But then after making that statement in January, fired off 4 or 5 pay-per-views. Right after they said they were hesitant on making that because theft. Suddenly people aren't stealing the other fights? Fucking please. And then was in May of last year, Floyd came out when they announced it, this fight's going to happen in September. And I was on the show saying, no, nobody announced that yet. It's through meatheads on Twitter. Floyd comes out and says, yeah, there's no announcement. There's no dates. We haven't made anything. And I talk to him every day. It's like, why would he take the time out of his day to personally kibosh this fight? Because he knows what's going on. They were stringing everybody along. And then come to find out, Crawford says when he met with Al in October, Al says, yeah, we were never planning on making this until next year anyways, which is for 2 reasons. One, which is the main reason they're waiting for the Showtime budget and a place to fucking play, a slot to put it on. So all last year, 2022, all that fucking smoke and mirrors bullshit talk, they were never planning on making a fight anyways. So now Crawford's like, fine, fuck, how long you expect me to sit on my ass for? 2 years? I'm going to have a fucking stay busy fight. And on top of that, he made $10 million more than they put. And again, that pissed off Spence's fans that, Crawford actually got paid. But now they seem to be pissed that he's going to work with Golden Boy. It's just nuts. They just never wanted that fight. They never wanted it.
Well, the proposed fights for Golden Boy is Rocha and then Ortiz, so that kind of pushes any hope of Spence fight even further down the line. So, I mean, that's why people are getting mad about that. But I mean, Crawford needs to do what's best for his career, and at this moment in his career, he needs to cash out because he's not getting any younger. And there's people like Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz that are coming up in the division, and they're gonna cause very a lot of headaches, for him.
Yep. Well, that's why fucking Spence fled to 154. He's not coming back down.
Yeah, exactly. Once you go
welterweight, ever.
I don't see him coming back down.
Okay, no, he won't. Listen. If he comes back down, I'll never call the show again. I'll ghost my Twitter page and never call the show again if he fights again at 147. He has never. No fighter goes up like that and comes back down. He's doing that for a reason. He's doing that, I think, for two reasons actually, so he can hold on to his belts. Because at 154, I don't know how the WBC can even jokingly say this takes care of his mandate. Now, remember, the whole reason why he's choosing to fight the guy that he won on record, remember that phone call he leaked saying, "Oh, I told Al, fuck that, I ain't fighting Thurman." No way. And, there's fucking the Weasel Giggle and Steve Espinoza. And then it turns around. The whole time he's saying that, he already knows in place that that's the fight they're trying to make. And then, I mean, Christ, if he wanted to fight fucking Crawford at any time over the last 4 years, instead of choosing to fight this career super featherweight, instead of choosing to fight Porter, choosing to fight DSG, which I can understand because they're coming back in the car accident, but then Ugas, he petitioned the WBA to get Ugas out of a fight so he could fight him. Well, fucking Crawford's at his front door. He's at the back door begging the WBA to get Ugas out of a fight. Does that sound like you want to fight? At every turn, he could have said, okay, let's fight Crawford, and made the fight the biggest fight the fans want to see. Instead, he's constantly chose to go the other route, and it shows in his pay-per-view numbers. There's a reason they have plummeted from 360 to 220. The last one was reported, 220? It's probably even less, but they've steadily gone down. That's not the trajectory of somebody making the right fucking career choices. Your numbers don't go down.
You should be going up. And by the way, I want to thank LDBC's Most Wanted for his contribution, the super chat. He says, "Saludos BDA panel. I was always a guy that said if you make the weight, then good for you. But some of these dudes rehydrate to crazy pounds. What do Haney Shakur weigh for fight night? Good luck, Loma." It's true. A lot of these guys rehydrate by a lot of pounds at the day of the fight. Haney and Shakur, how do they? What about them? Like,
isn't it the IFB will have it stipulated a 10-pound rehydration clause if the IFB belt is on the line? IBF isn't that belt on the line?
Yeah.
I clearly remember that for the Linares fight, Haney weighted at in the ring 165.
Yeah, but that's for his WBC. Now that he has the IBF, I don't think he can do that.
Yeah.
They changed the rules. I think that for the last year or two, that 10-pound limit doesn't exist anymore for the IBF belt.
Well, then it's incumbent upon Lomachenko and his people to put it in the contract. I mean, I wouldn't let him step in the ring with a dude weighing 145 pounds. You know what I mean? I would say, no, you come in, a pound over 145, the fight's off. So I would have him, weigh himself an hour before the fight just to make sure, because you don't want a guy. But then again, at the same token, if a dude over rehydrates, that's a shock to the system. You can fucking blow your load quick. Your legs get real heavy. Hey,
what do you guys think about the WBA mandatory in Triple G to fight Lara?
Why not? That's a good fight. They're both old now.
I mean, I would watch it for sure, but I'm not interested at all anymore and you all guys know how big of a fan of Triple G I am. But man, now I don't care what he's doing. If it's not,
he's a mercenary now. He's hanging around just for money.
Jimmy. To me, it was kind of hard to agree with Steve Kim and you saying that, but now more and more as time passes by, I see this the case. Yeah, and it was hard for me to admit.
He's trying to get a lot. They said that something about him fighting Haney-Loma down the road. I'm like, I think what's that guy's name that he was working with? His promoter or something?
Tom
Loeffler.
Yes, Tom
He
Loeffler.
said that they're gonna fight Haney-Loma down the road. I'm like, but he's already going. He's gonna be 41 this year. I'm like, what do you mean?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He should have retired years ago at his height. He should have retired. He just got disillusioned. He fucked around and waited for Canelo too long. He shouldn't have done that. There's a couple of things he shouldn't have done, but he loves his wife, and from what people say, man, his wife likes to spend money. They like to live that lifestyle. So,
yeah, I think
he's just chasing the money now.
He's gonna be around, but he's not.
It just cheapens their legacy when they hang around too long, because then people remember the old faded version. Nobody wants to remember that. Like even now, when I think of Roy Jones, man, I don't think of Roy Jones when he was a killer. I think of him hanging around way too long, taking beatings he had no right taking.
He's gonna fight again.
Shit.
I think
I know that's just crazy. Come on, dude. What you doing?
Hey, speaking of the legacies, guys, Eddie Hearn is offering Pacquiao to come out to retirement to fight.
Eddie Hearn, low key. Well, he seems like a nice guy, but he's actually really he's a dirty dude, man.
He's a vulture.
Yeah, he's a dirty dude. Like he's talking about. I've heard him talk about every fighter for Bivol except for Better Beef. He's entertaining all these other fights. I'm like, I thought you said that you gonna do what's right for Bivol. He's trying to get Callum Smith and anybody that's not Bivol an opportunity to get in there with Better Beef or Bivol. He wants them to fight different.
Can I be honest with you on that? I honestly don't think Better Beef's people. If you would ask me who doesn't want it, I think it's Better Beef's people prefer to stay away from Bivol. Because of his footwork, it'd be hard to get his paws on him, especially coming off that Triple G. The beating Canelo. His confidence is so high. His game is right there, and Beterbiev at his age. I mean, if he catches him, Beterbiev's got that kind of power. He can wreck you. I just think it'd be hard for him to catch him at this age.
Yeah, I think Bivol will win. To be honest with you. I thought about it, and I think Bivol, he's just too durable, man. I think he's got everything that he needs to win this fight.
I agree with you on that. I think he would outbox him. I think if Beterbiev was 34, 35 again, the confidence and whatnot. I mean, it just have they actually announced yet? Did they get a date for Benavidez-Plant yet?
Yeah, it's
okay,
they even did a press conference.
That's true. Yeah, I just fucking Benavidez running his mouth about Plant. I'm like, what the fuck about Bivol? Oh, I'd knock him out because it's sparred with him. Yeah, but I was, look, I thought the sparring shit was kind of put to rest when remember Zurdo. There was that time when Zurdo sparred Bivol and they called the end of sparring. You never know what's going on, in that situation too. But Bivel's people didn't want to. They called the sparring early because at the time Zurdo was getting the better of him. But that don't mean shit. Proved when they fought. Okay, that was like as one way as it gets. So another thing. Speaking about sparring guys, man, this whole fucking shit going on about people all of a sudden very upset about the leaked footage of Rolly Romero getting knocked the fuck out in sparring that was leaked a couple of days ago. And it's like all of a sudden you hear all these people complaining. Well, where was that fucking complaining when Rolly put the whole whole fucking comp thing of all his knockouts? He's notorious for releasing footage of himself knocking people out in sparring. And all of a sudden they do it to him and everybody's upset. I think why they're upset is because it doesn't make the Davis win look any better.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, he was never that good to me.
Exactly.
No, and I mean that. Sometimes people say that. Well, he's never that good, and they say like maybe he's a level below. I thought he was just not good, and they guided his to that Gervonta Davis fight perfectly.
Exactly.
This past year or two, people are starting to realize how much of a padded record and what kind of fighter Tank really is. With the whole hold up on the Ryan fight, the Cruz fight that he couldn't knock him out in like 2 weeks, and Cruz was a 2 weeks notice fighter. This whole Rolly thing going on, it's coming to light, bro.
And he didn't. I mean, he was down as far as I'm concerned in the 6 rounds going into that with Rolly. He was losing that fight. Rolly was up on rounds. I don't know what judges said, but without a doubt, Rolly was getting the better of him. And Rolly is terrible. I mean, that motherfucker is terrible.
That disappointed me because you know when you go in a fight like with Rolly, you're supposed to dominate round 1 all the way to the end. If you can't knock him out, you're supposed to dominate every round. There's not
that's what dominating fighters do. You're 100% right. Bivol, how many in all his fights? How many rounds has he lost? Somebody actually did a good put it together. It was crazy. I think he's lost six rounds in his last 10 fights. That's like nuts. But that's what dominant fighters do.
That's what you're supposed to do. But he's out here letting this dude run him over and getting hit with straight punches or being on the rope. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Go on, Butcher. Sorry.
Just quickly, when people used to compare Golovkin and Wilder, they're both knocking out their opponents. Why are you praising Golovkin and not praising Wilder? Precisely because of what you guys were saying, that Wilder, he wasn't dominating his opponents. He was getting outboxed, and then the punch came and he knocked his opponent out.
Exactly.
When it came to Golovkin, he was constantly dominating his opponent throughout the fight, and then the knockout came. So there's a big difference there.
Yeah, and Golovkin, for all the shit he was getting for the opposition he was fighting way better opposition than Jimmy said many times the average rating of the opponents Wilder fought, and those fighters that Triple G fought, they were not all-time greats by any means, but they were top fighters in his division from those who wanted to fight him in his prime. But to go back to what's his name, Tank Davis. I mean, it was a huge reality check for his fanboys, because if you're such a top class fighter that your fan Tank pretend to be, no matter if you were setting up Rolly Romero for a knockout, those rounds you should not be losing from such a fighter as Romero.
Can you guys picture Shakur Stevens losing any rounds, or Lomachenko losing any rounds to Rolly Romero? I mean, that dude trips over his own feet. You know what I mean? His claim to fame was his sparring footage that he was out.
That's why I'm not mad about it.
He's tackling people.
I'm not even mad about it. I don't really care about people being mad that he got knocked out in sparring, because that's how you guys can't claim the fame. He benefited off of that sparring match with Ryan, and it was just, Ryan, they were just trying to spar. And then he was in there trying to do extreme roughhouse tactics. And now that's to him, I'm like, why not? Why can't that guy who knocked him out benefit off of it?
Well, if you notice, the people barking the loudest are the Davis fans, and for obvious reasons. It doesn't help the cause that, and everybody he fights, he either drags up. That kid, Hector Garcia, only had 3 fights at 130, or 2 fights at 130, never mind 135. Most of his fights were 126 or below. And, drags people up, and it's just, one-legged Gamboa, he goes the fucking distant with. It takes him till the last round to finally catch him.
Yeah.
He looked like shit against Isaac Cruz, I thought.
Yeah, he didn't look good against Isaac Cruz, even before he hurt his hand.
And that's another thing, hurting the hand. Most boxers hurt their hand. Usually have to have them put in ice after a fight. They swell up because you've been punching people's fucking domes all night. So, even when he took that first picture that he released, everything on his Instagram page, he had his hand he took it from, he was in the side of the car. So, you have your door rest on the side of your door there. You could tell the meat part below his pinky, he was putting it on the armrest, kind of putting weight on it. So it pushes up the meat on the side, your hand, and it kind of gives the illusion that it was swollen. It's like he was trying to make it look like, why would you have it resting on just the edge of your hand on the armrest? If you go back and look at that picture he put out, it's like, dude, you're trying to find excuses because your swollen hand has nothing to do with the fact you couldn't fight going backwards. You didn't know how to step out. You didn't know how to even come in at an angle. You know how to change up your punches. And again, that's all because of fucking soft competition. You don't get better fighting down. I don't know if whatever sports you guys play, you know that whatever sports you guys dominated growing up. Think about playing kids who are just so much worse than you. You don't get better. You develop bad habits when you fight guys that you can just you're expected to go in there and blast out.
Yeah, Jimmy, that swelling in his knuckle, it's like when you sit down on a chair, when you put your upper leg on the chair, your quadriceps on the chair,
swells up.
Grabbed by the chair, it's almost 2 times as big compared to when you stand up.
Exactly. He was just trying to find an excuse. He was just looking for an excuse for why he didn't perform well. He didn't perform well because his 8-week camps, half of them are fucking fat camps. He spent the first 4 weeks of his training camps losing the fucking 40 pounds he gained by eating Chinese food and drinking.
Yeah. But, even with this stuff, he's still dealing with the repercussions of his actions with the law. I heard he has 2 court cases in 2 different states. I mean, one happened in one state, the other one happened in Baltimore. I think he has to go see both of them this month. So we don't know what's going to happen if he's going to.
I think he'll skate on to Baltimore. They have a progressive psycho DA. You know what I mean? So I think he'll skate there because there's a reason last year he gave all kinds of money and donations to like local boys and girls clubs, and he's done a bunch of stuff like that for in town that will go to help. But yeah, I think they're gonna let that skate because there's a reason why the DA. There was a bunch of charges that should have been felonies, and they were all bumped down to fucking misdemeanors. So that tells me right away they have no intention of actually putting him in jail. Nobody goes to prison off misdemeanors. So what's that?
What's up, Jim?
What's up, man?
We talking about Ryan Garcia?
Oh, we're talking about Garcia. Well, Dank Davis's court date in Baltimore, the fleeing. I mean, a hit and run is supposed to be a felony. You know what I mean? That's a felony in every state. When you're in the first, they said he was drunk because he was. Any state, like in Massachusetts, if you flee the scene of an accident on foot, they automatically assume you're drunk because why would you flee? You know what I mean? He fled for a reason, and he fled when a pregnant woman sitting there with blood dripping down her face. Please help me. I'm pregnant. Please help me. He looked her dead in the eyes. She gave in her testimony to the jury, the grand jury. Mr. Davis looked me dead in the eyes and he turned around and walked away. The woman saying, I'm pregnant, please help me. And he went over to his car, grabbed his wallet and his phone and fucking tapped his boy on the shoulder and said, let's bolt. I mean, like cold-blooded, man. So yeah, he's going to skate on that. He'll do some community service. I don't know about that other thing in Florida.
Yeah.
I hope he gets locked up.
I don't know if he's gonna skate because I heard someone told me that she had to get her gallbladder removed.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wish jail time on anybody, man. Fucking jail's an ugly, ugly place because I don't think it would do him any good. So why bother? You know what I mean? I think honestly, the way he's going, the things he's doing. Now think about it. You're the world champion, well, junior world champion of the world. Your name's recognized in a niche sport, and you're out doing knucklehead things. Like, and he's always making reference to fucking the thug life, and that if this would be different, it was a boxing, because basically implying the guns involved. So he's obsessed with the fucking, because that's where he comes from. Streets of Baltimore are no joke, and that's what he was raised on.
In the chat,
I'd love to slap the shit out of him.
Wait,
not joking. You know what I saw? I was watching Dan. You know what's his name? Dan Bajano or something.
Dan Cabano.
Yeah.
His father owns Box Rec.
Yeah.
Oh no, CompuPunch.
Oh yeah, him. I was watching his podcast with Chris Algieri, and he was saying that Ryan Garcia liked to tweet that it's all smoke and mirrors. The fight's going through. It's not pro-grazed. It is him and Tank Davis. It's going through. Settle down. Simmer down.
Because I know yesterday he tweeted Tank Garcia was on his Instagram yesterday, said stop being a coward. Stop hiding behind this was just last night. Stop hiding behind Haymon. and there was nothing come from Tank, his Twitter feed off that. But again, he could be worried about the court date coming up. But yeah, it was just yesterday. Garcia let out an Instagram post saying, "Stop hide behind Haymon, you coward. Just sign it. No rematch clause. Winner takes all. Let's do it."
By the way, in the chat, X is saying y'all don't even know how much of that is true. He's speaking about the Tank Davis story. If he was even driving, etc. Like, come on, laughing my ass out.
Well, that's what I can only go by what people who showed up and testified to the grand jury said. So, I mean, what else? I mean, how much more proof do you want when you have people showing up who were there, who were hit, who said they saw him get out of the driver's seat? And why would he be letting his boy drive his $400,000 Lamborghini?
Innocent until proven guilty, Jimmy.
Okay. But whatever. I mean,
no,
whatever.
But what you're saying, like, you're not lying about the testimony that was given, basically, right? That's there. Like,
that was exactly.
Yeah, it's no, we're not making it up. Then, yeah, But anyways,
so
yeah,
you can laugh all he wants, man. That was testimony given to the grand jury. Why would somebody lie and risk fucking getting a fucking felony? You know what I mean? Lie on this kid. No, it wasn't him. Let's make sure we say he was driving. Yeah. And does Tank seem like the type of dude, even when he gets out of his fights and he gets to his Lamborghini, remember he had the fucking Gollum there? Gollum. Fucking Inoue. Fucking, he was out there. Oh, look, what size rims are those? Are those 20s? Like, videotaping his rims. But when he got in, even after getting out of the ring, he didn't let somebody else drive his fucking Lamborghini. He drove away. He peeled away. So, I mean, he's going to coming out of a fight and drive. He's going to let one of his boys drunk drive his car.
Nah.
Maybe he would. I don't know, man. But that's I know I wouldn't.
If he's going to do that shit where he dragged that one chick by the hair in public like that, there's no telling what he's willing to do.
Well, with that case, they testified. People testified that he actually, outside of the camera, when he pulled her around, out of the camera's view, is when he actually put hands on her, and that's what she said too. And as far as his girlfriend, that was just a money stream. She had the realization, help, he's trying to kill me, and then all of a sudden he gets cuffed up, and she's like, oh shit, I'm an Instagram bimbo. What the fuck am I going to do for money? You know what I mean? Go back and live with my mom? Yeah, I know. He didn't do it. I made it all up. Okay. Well, first off, 80% of all victims of domestic assault recant. 8 out of 10. So that's just normal part of the course.
To back your thing up about the footage, like, when they were away from the cameras, there's actually another camera angle of him actually hitting the woman. So
okay, yeah. That was videotaped. All right, I heard it was, but I never saw it. And again, man, I'm not trying to make excuses for somebody, but I'll be the first to say that kid had a horrible childhood, and that does matter. I know people like say, "Oh, everybody does." Yes, have their own decisions to make in life. I understand that, but your youth and the things you witnessed growing up obviously has a lot to do with how you act. And that kid had a horrible childhood, man. Like, no child should go through what fucking Dave was going through growing up. That shit scars, people. And I feel bad for the young kid, when he was young.
Yeah.
But now he's an adult. He's going to start fucking growing up.
Of that, even though this is more second renaissance type of thing, but if you want a good example of this, guys, and do your homework, look up Richard Ramirez. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
You better not. There's only one Richard, and it's Richard Torres, the boxing heavyweight.
So I thought you were going to say Richard Ramirez, the fucking serial killer.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. His childhood. Yeah, I haven't looked into that.
So are they really going through? So they really going through with that Teofimo Josh Taylor fight? It's weird because I thought Josh Taylor was injured.
It's a rumor.
They were supposed to reschedule the Catterall rematch from March to June, so it looks like they're keeping that date, but just for Teofimo and Taylor instead.
Oh wait! Oh, so wait a minute. Hold on. You were talking about so you were talking about like Richard Ramirez, how he watched his uncle. Well, didn't watch, but his uncle murdered his girlfriend right in front of Richard Ramirez. Yeah,
not just that.
I know he went through some horrible shit too. But yeah, that's crazy. That'll make you fucking kind of weird.
No, he watched his, obviously, that way you just said, but he also was severely physically abused as well.
Yeah, that's horrible, man.
All right,
what's the difference?
We have Pete here. Pete, are you there?
Pete! My man.
No, he's not.
Oh.
His mic's on mute.
Oh shit! Wait. Oh, I thought I muted him. But anyways, yeah. So we got. What else is there to talk about? What else? De La Hoya talking about Berlanga. He was saying that De La Hoya said that Berlanga needs him and Hopkins to like.
I think.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
That was in the report that De La Hoya said that Berlanga needs him. Basically.
I mean, is that guy really that good at this point, or I mean, the power's there, but he's just been looking like shit. I don't know if it's a I don't think it's an issue with promotions here.
It's an issue with talent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
And that kid was talking about he was a fucking all-time great because he knocked out a bunch of fucking no-hopers. He was calling himself an all-time great. Come on, dude. I mean, we need a Puerto Rican champion. I always like boxing better when there's a fucking Puerto Rican champion because nothing better than the Puerto Rican-Mexico fights.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Always bangers. And you're hearing that from Puerto Rican.
And they bring in I still remember when Trinidad used to fight. I mean, the crowd, which is fucking
crazy.
Crazy,
oh, yeah.
man.
New York City always loves their fucking Puerto Rican champions. Trinidad, Cotto.
Yeah, New York. Yeah, but Berlanga is not the guy. That's it.
No, he's not. He's not the one, man. He's right there, brother.
Puerto Rican killer. We need a freaking Bazooka Gomez kind of guy. Not just Puerto Rican, but like all races. Because a lot of these Western fighters are very soft, and a lot of the Eastern fighters are more killers. But we need more Western killers like Regis Prograis, Virgil Ortiz. You know, the underpromoted kids, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. If only guys like Regis get promoted, but all these other guys.
Sorry, that's my dog. Shut up.
Well, I know Regis had issues with Showtime and Al Haymon. So yeah.
But speaking of a Puerto Rican fighter who needs De La Hoya and Hopkins, it would be a guy from PBC, Subriel Matias. He's a killer. I mean, he's not a pound-for-pound level talent, but he is a very good fighter and he's a killer. And I don't mean literally, an exciting fighter. If they had him, that would be really great, man. And the way PBC is sidelining him and these ABC, how do you call alphabet bullshit organizations? They're sidelining him for years, man.
Yep. And the thing is with him, even if he loses, he has the style and the power and the work rate where he could beat or lose to anybody in the top. Like, you can never know with him, but regardless, he's going to give you entertaining fights no matter what.
Well, he's fighting for the title.
Yep. Hopefully,
he's fighting Argentina this month.
Yeah, but he was waiting for it like for 4 years. Remember I think the Dadashev fight was a fight for the mandatory or elimination fight. He waited for like 4 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you know
what I would title. Who would you guys put him in with for unification, or what other top guy that's on the way to 140 would you put him in with? So either give him that big win or to give him that notability, like for more eyes to be on him. Who would you guys pick?
There's a lot of good guys.
Are you talking about Prograis?
No, I'm talking about Matias.
Matias.
Josh Taylor or maybe a Teofimo Lopez.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I'm so disappointed the way things are going with Josh Taylor. Kid came on like gangbusters and just, I mean, Christ, them and fucking. I mean, that Catterall fight was going on almost 2 years ago.
I think it was last year,
February 2022.
2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Seems like a long time ago. Plus, he's only a once a year fighter, and I remember when he said he was good with that. That really bothered me. I'm like, I don't think this kid has a clue. He might be tough and good and shit, but if you think you're going to get a better fight once a year, when you have how many fights? 15 fights.
Why would a fighter say that?
And he changed his trainer again.
Yeah, but that one was for the better because I don't think Ben Davison was the right one for him.
Yeah, I agree.
Ben This is a motivational speaker.
Oh, yeah.
That's all he is. He doesn't know what the fuck he's actually talking about. He just one of those dudes will motivate you to get up and go running, but he has no clue about boxing.
Yeah, but when a fighter says that he only wants to fight once a year, what does that tell you, though?
That's never good. Yeah, he's content.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
well,
it's the same way with what Benavidez right now. I hate this latest thing. It always seems to be with the PBC guys, the fucking clout chasing, promotion by name recognition or name clout chasing. Because instead of talking about Plant, yada yada yada, he goes in the last interview and he talks about how he'd knock out Bivol.
I think they asked him. They asked him like, how many fights you got left? He said maybe 4 or 5. And then he said he's going to go up to light heavyweight. And then he said,
about 4 or 5 fights PVC style. That's 4 or 5 years from now, right? I mean, he fights once a year as it is. It's crazy. But I just like, dude, you're kind of clowning yourself now, dude. You had every opportunity. First off, you had the opportunity to make this Plant fight 3 years ago when Plant asked for it. But your fucking handler shot it down. Nope. He said, no, we're nowhere near the right kind of money. We need 5 times that because the first money on the table was $2 million and he wanted between 7 and 10 just to sign the fucking paper. So of course that was shot right down. It's like then all of a sudden now, while you're waiting for that fight to grow to $10 million, dude lost his belt to Canelo. Now you got 2 guys who aren't even champions fighting on a pay-per-view. It's just such a fucking joke.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But hey, did you guys hear about Probellum? I heard that. Is it true that is it over with Probellum? I heard some little rumors that they deleted all their stuff on Instagram, which is true. I checked it out. They deleted all their posts.
Yes, because of their association with the Kenahans.
So I guess Bob was right about that. People, because he was going to fight, one of his fighters was going to fight Donaire, and they said, no, we don't want to have anything to do with Probellum. And people made it seem like, oh, he's ducking the guy. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for that Kenahan stuff, that fight would have gone through.
Yeah, I remember when they were attacking Fury because he had connections with them or something. It's like, oh, Fury didn't beat Wilder because of that. That didn't make any sense. Yeah, that was just reaching. All right, guys, everybody can join. Everybody should join. So the link is in the description and in the chat. So if you want to jump in, just click the link.
Especially if you think we're making shit up.
Well, there's people that actually do think we're making shit up, but
and call in and tell us why we're making it up and tell us, explain exactly why.
Absolutely.
I mean, as boxing fans, it's funny that they think we don't want fights to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like we want to see Tank versus Ryan Garcia for sure, but we're not making it up. He actually might go to jail. Jimmy just said what the report said. That's all he did. He's not making it up. Like,
so what? So is Probellum over, or are they just trying to lay low or something for now?
They're all over, but isn't there another? What's the name of the new company? I mean, I'm sure they're probably just hiding it under somebody else. He could still be financing, but wasn't there another company out there in England? Not Probellum, but there was another company now that a bunch of people are signing with.
Boxers.
Well, Callahan thing was true. Bob's not lying. I mean, he is under investigation, but to be honest, I mean, I don't care what this dude has done. You know what I mean? I mean, not that I don't care if he's a scumbag, he's a scumbag, but my point is, like, man, you can't. What are you fucking doing, punishing fighters, or if you're gonna start bashing fighters or coming down on fighters who have association with known criminals? I mean, come on, Bob. You've been in the sport since the 1960s. Bob was promoting fighters since the mob ran boxing. I mean, the guy who ran, the most powerful man in boxing, hands down, from 1963 through 1979, the most, like, it was the guy who ran MSG, Nicky something or other, but he was a made man of the Gambino crime family. So boxing,
But
guy who
don't you
wrote,
think the times are different now? I think the times are different.
boxing, well, actually, it was better then because the mob. Think about it. What's the thing? What drove boxing back then was betting, gambling, and nothing brings out the gambling like evenly matched popular fighters. The more popular a fighter is, the more people know of the fight, the more people gamble, and the closer they are matched, the more people lay their money down. Nobody wants to bet, fucking unless it's short money, whatever, 10-1 underdogs. So for that reason, the mob was motivated to have the best fighting the best because they made more money off it.
But do you think that could have also led to dives and things of that nature as well? I'm not saying there isn't anything.
Absolutely. Oh, no, without a doubt. Oh, absolutely they dove. Because, and you never knew, too. Like, sometimes the mob might not even have told you. You might have had a string of fighters, fights in a row that you stop people and you're thinking you're doing good. Then all of a sudden the mob comes to you and tells you in the locker room, hey, listen, you think you won those fights, motherfucker? Those are our fighters. Now you owe us. And some guys would say, go fuck yourself. And Marvin Hagler was one of them. Marvin Hagler wouldn't dance for the mob. I don't know if they actually asked him to dive. I don't know exactly what happened, but he would not play with them. It was because of that it took him 50 professional fights to get his world title.
Wow.
In fact, the government stepped in. U.S. government, the Senate, actually kind of made a point to say, what the fuck's going on? It was because the mob was blackballing him.
Wow. 50 fights.
Yep.
Damn.
I don't know how
everybody out.
I heard someone say, I don't know how true it is, but there's a certain fighter that we mentioned where they offered them to I'm gonna leave them nameless because if you know, you know. But they said this is a top guy. He's currently a champion. That they told him to take dives, but he would just beat the crap out of those fighters. I'm not gonna say who was the name of the fighter, but I heard rumblings of a certain fighter who's a bit well known. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's not promoted as much as he should be. But he's
not fighting today.
I know what you're talking about. I got you.
Well, stop being 50, guys. Why don't you say their names?
I don't know. I don't want to like get up in crazy drama and stuff like that, but I've heard that before.
I won't say the name, but it sounds like Hellenius.
No, I'm saying they didn't. Like they offered him, and then he will beat up those guys. Not that he did take one, but
But the thing is, the reason why I question that, I'm not saying it didn't happen because this is my speculation. But who would be doing it? It's like the mob is almost non-existent nowadays. They're just fractured next to nothing. Who could really put that pressure on anybody? I mean, back in the day, you couldn't fight anywhere near New York. You wouldn't be able to fight in Vegas. 2 cities completely run by the mob. There's definitely fighters who found themselves in the back of trunks with bullets in their heads because they crossed them. There's no doubt about that.
Same. It's not really run by the mob. I think fighters still take dives to this day. It's just they're not threatened the same way that they would be back then. I think they're more threatened financially. They're more threatened in other ways rather than being offed.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, Brandon, just a few nights ago on BDA Discord, there was one guy, I forgot his name. He can say if he's following in the chat, but he was talking about fixed fights. He used to box, and his own buddy from UK participated on one matchroom card, and he said while waiting in the back, chilling with other fighters, they were openly discussing, who's gonna take a dive, etc. So they were discussing it in the open. You take a dive, etc.
Was this person? Because I'll tell you right now, I can see when this would be prevalent. Say you're one of those dudes like a couple of weeks ago on a matchroom card, which was an insult. They had a guy who had a record of like 6 wins and 99 losses. That fat, doughy white dude, and it was ridiculous. Somebody with on a lopsided record where they are who they are. They're just a journeyman, not even a journeyman. They're just somebody to fight on the way up. I think I could see that happening where, dude, you're going to lose anyways. You get knocked the fuck out, go out in the third round, because that's when they'll put their money on it. Meaning, like, we're going to bet on the third round because it ups their chances, if you get the round right, to collect more money. I could see if somebody, fucks them over that way and doesn't do it, they could get themselves in trouble. But to see fighters today, I mean, because to think about it, dude, if you just say somebody tried to tell you to take a dive and you didn't want to, and they threatened you in any way, shape, or form, fucking feds would be all over them, dude.
You can sue.
If you just call the feds and said, hey, listen, all right, they'll fucking wire your phone, and they get anybody telling you. I mean, that's extortion and racketeering, dude. Those two predicates alone will get you fucking 40 years in federal prison.
Yeah, I heard it's more likely to happen. That stuff like that is more likely to happen in like South America. You can pay a guy to take a dive in South America, but not in the U.S.
It's just hard to see somebody with especially an undefeated person on the up coming up with where losses are seen so negatively nowadays. You know what I mean? A zero, a loss in somebody's fucking is a big thing now. So like, I can't see the reasoning behind it. Like, why would somebody throw their career away unless they knew they were never going to be champion and they really didn't have what it takes? But usually, if somebody has a good enough name to make money on it, betting against them, it doesn't usually. I don't know. It's to me, it's very hard for me to see the financial benefits of taking a dive nowadays. Unless you're expected to lose.
I don't think it can happen at the big stage, but if you're like a city level boxer or maybe you're a regional boxer, it could possibly happen.
Of course, I believe that. On the ups, like some kid with 7 pro fights is taking on some dude who's already got knocked out 12 times. What's the difference when he gets knocked out? I could see him picking what round he wants to get knocked out, even if he bet on himself. Dude, put fucking 4 large on me going down in the 4th, because that's when I'm going down. You know what I mean? Like, I totally see that. But like, I up on the ups, like, or a fighter not even being paid to leave, take a dive, but a fighter just wanting to get the fuck out of there early, calling it an early night because they know they're not going to win. I could see that too.
Shout out to Recognize the Matrix in the chat. He says listening to Jimmy is like listening to classic Boston gangsters. The good one, of course. Shout out to Recognize the Matrix.
Recognize, brother.
Yeah, hopefully you come back soon, man. We need you on the show.
Miss you, bro.
What else? Bernard says Wilder is today's Primo Canera. Poor man never knew his fights were fixed. Thought he was great. Okay, man. Hey, what's happening? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like a dude being like Dan Cabano, right? That the writer whose father owns CompuBox. So of course, owning CompuBox, he had his in everywhere, right? And you know what I mean. You listen to him tweet, it acts like it's a typical case. Steve Kim put it the best, I think. What was his quote? A kid was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. I think that is so perfect.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? We have. Boxing with Frank Bay, if you want to jump in as well.
Yo, what's up?
What's up?
No, I jumped in on the Berlanga talk. Yeah, I like Berlanga. I know that's
you're right. Yeah.
Berlanga, but he's gonna be in a big fight. See, people get criticized for what he did. The thing between him and his company was what I think Top Rank wants with Teofimo is to take it slow. They don't believe in him. And, Berlanga wants the big fights. And then we criticize guys when they don't take the big fights.
Yeah, I hear you. I say go ahead. I don't think he's going to beat the guys, but why not?
But you got to be honest too, though. He did turn down some fights. He turned down, I believe, 3 fights in a row.
He did
3
turn down
opponents.
some fights. He did,
and that's all you have to do to get Bob on your bad side. You start turning down fights for him. That's one of the quickest way to get out.
But it's not like that he's afraid of them. He's just that he thought that those guys were small fries, and it's because of his ego. He thinks that he's above those guys.
No, you're 100% right. But and Bob's thing's like, well, dude, you got to walk before you run, bro. You got to crawl before you walk. It's like, we're not going to take you off bad performances that you didn't look that good and then put you into big money fights. It's like it almost seems like it's kind of a Wilder situation back again, where match him against soft as puppy shit opponents. You know, I mean his last 20 fights, his 20 fights going into, we could even go by his last 10 before he fought for the world title, right? Combined world ranking of those last 10 opponents before he fought fucking, what was that dude he folded there? But he didn't knock him out in the first one. But Stavern. Before he fought Stavern, those last 10 opponents had a combined world ranking of 167. Dude, that's hard. So you mean you could have dudes who are ranked 300 and something, 400. Some dudes, like the best ranked guy he fought was like 90. So like he fought a bunch of fucking no-hopers, and that's because he was getting folded.
I mean, I hear I'm not a fan of Wilder either, but the guy's gonna make big fights. Like any fight he's in is a huge him and Joyce, him and Usyk. It's a massive fight.
They're bigger fights now, but I mean he pulled 77,000 pay-per-views against Helenas.
Like
that was,
that's how I see Berlanga. Like I would love to see a Berlanga Canelo match. I would like Canelo to stick it to everybody and take on Berlanga and give him a vicious KO. Like that's how I look at boxing, the biggest events.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough.
You know.
But but it all depends on. I think he should get with the PBC personally. Get with those guys. The Caleb.
They'll feed the PBC or use them how they use all the Latin guys. Just keep it with a buck.
They're just how they use the Latin guys.
Yeah, Leo.
Without a doubt. Anybody denying now that Haymon doesn't feed? I mean, that's his strategy. Take whatever fighter you have that's asking for $1 million payday, match him up with anybody in-house who preferably has a Spanish last name to exploit the Spanish fan base, because that's where the money is going to be generated from, and then go from there. There's a reason why, if you look at most of Davis's opponents and shit, they have a Spanish surname. They're not stupid. I mean, Mexican Americans are the driving force behind boxing right now. Mexico and Mexican Americans. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And the thing with Berlanga is that it's not like he's some talented guy who wants to challenge himself. No, it's much more about him wanting to cash out, because he sees that he's struggling against limited opponents. So he just wants to cash out, unless he's that delusional. I don't even believe that he's that delusional that he believes that he wants big fights because he thinks he's able to defeat those champions.
I mean, you never know. He has a puncher's chance. I mean, he could be a Ricardo Mayorga. Guys like that keep the sport going.
His feet are too slow.
He can punch.
I mean, we
definitely can punch.
Berlanga can punch. That's all you need. And he's a big guy. He's much
all
you need. No homo.
You get a range to land those shots, though, man. I'm telling you right now. They need to figure that out if he's going to be successful.
He's got to stop the party life, man. Stop. Some guys. I'm always suspicious of the dudes who think they made it before they made it. Like out with Big Fat Joe and hanging out and partying, and I mean, it's because honestly, let's be honest, Puerto Ricans are desperate for a champion, because it's just not. It's unusual for Puerto Rico not to have, and Puerto Ricans not to have a huge champion. I think they got that kid with Top Rank. I think is a future superstar. Exactly. Although I don't like the way he looked the last couple of fights, I'll be honest. Xander. And I like a couple of things he did recently. I thought he was putting himself in position to take punches he doesn't have to. He's talented enough that he doesn't need to. I'm not going to begrudge a guy for willing to mix it up.
You think Berlanga is more Nico Ali or more Xander? Because
it
sounds like nobody believes it. Like he's a sideshow. I don't believe Berlanga is a sideshow. I think Top Rank, they sign talent. Like Ricardo Torres, you could think he could be a sideshow. I mean, you don't know. There's no doubt.
I mean, Berlanga was blasting dudes out. I don't care if they're no hope is. When you blast people out like that, your power is real. He definitely has power. I think the progression they want because they're seeing things and hearing about things that we don't see. We see these guys,
true.
You know what I mean? Like they're talking with their trainers. The trainers are telling them, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Well, he isn't showing up. He's not putting in, I had him scheduled to fucking spot 10 rounds and Saturday he spot 3 and wanted to take off. Like shit like that will get Bob furious. Because Bob at the end of the day is always looking out for his dollars. And, people I know come down on promoters, and it's true, a lot of them do fuck things up. But without promoters, it wouldn't be the sport. Because these promoters finance these motherfuckers, pay their rent, their car payments, their food, feed their children, pay, everything. And hopefully at the end, they can fucking make money off it. There's a reason why, like another quote, Steve Kim again, the desert is, the desert is screwing with the bleached bones of promoters because they just fail because they put so much, they can't hang around long enough for their investments to turn profitable. And I mean,
that's the key.
What he even said that about Crawford. He said, "Man, fucking, I lost enough money on Crawford that I could build a house in Beverly Hills."
And
Well,
that's why they have a bankroll, though. That's why. Look how much Bob Arum's worth. Bob Arum alone is worth around $400 million, like by himself. What do you think Top Rank's worth? You need that kind of bankroll to take those kind of losses.
I mean, think about it. Crawford fought in the pandemic, so he fought. I forget who it was. Was it Kell Brook in an empty fucking place? Empty. So there was no gate, right?
Right.
I can't remember if it was a pay-per-view, but either way, I mean, Bob said, "Hey, no pay cut, nothing. 3.5 million." And then on top of that, he held his feet to the fire because most contracts, you're stipulated X amount of fights over a certain period of time, and because he didn't get him a fight in that period of time, after all those years, you would have thought, okay, Bob, I know you tried. I'm not going to hit you over the head. Nope. That's the reason why he got 6.5 million guaranteed against Porter. He was being paid off a fight that he never had, too. Bob had to throw that in. So Bob, that's what Bob said, and I don't agree with some of the things Bob said, out live to people. It's like, yeah, that was sour grapes. You're 90 years old. You have no fucking break. You just speak without thinking. But of course, I was going to offend Crawford. So I think Crawford went overboard after he met with Haymon and his lawyer and decided to file that ridiculous lawsuit, which is not gone anywhere. By the way, he's never filed the proper paperwork to continue it. So which tells me that he's smart enough to know, or at least have his lawyers, other lawyers, not the one that handled Mickey Garcia, who's Heyman's friend. That Friedman is his name. That lawyer, he's been working with Haymon since the days of the music industry. He's the one who represented Mickey Garcia against Bob and lost. I know people say, well, he got out of the contract. Yeah, but he sat on the show for 2.5 years and Bob didn't have to pay him. He left and Bob didn't have to pay him any extra money. So yeah, Garcia didn't win that. And also, people don't talk about this because it was a non-disclosure on it. They couldn't speak about the thing, but it wasn't pennies. Haymon lost. I know the lawsuit from Golden Boy got thrown out of court. He was suing him for the fucking the Ali Act, saying he was breaking that. That lawsuit got thrown out. The lawsuit that Bob sued him didn't. That was found. Haymon was found at fault and had to pay Bob a pretty exorbitant amount. I was told well over 7 figures in the millions. So that's, I think, one of the reasons why Haymon doesn't want to work with right away. Like right after that happened in 2017 is when you suddenly seen like no more working with Bob. So again, his personal fucking feelings getting in in place of his fighter's financial well-being.
And you guy, Frank Bay, to your point about when you asked why Bob Arum signed Berlanga when he likes to make pay-per-view stars. Yeah, for sure. He knows how to create stars, and all the best fighters, amateur fighters, signed for him. But that's not the only thing that he's doing. He also needs the people who will sell tickets. That's why he signed. I mean, Ramirez, he's a good fighter, but he also was a huge ticket seller on the West Coast. That's the same reason why he was pushing Berlanga and Ali's grandson. Not because he thought that they were super talented fighters who will become pound for pound fighters, but because he thought that he could sell tickets with their names.
I understand that. My only point in saying about Bob and Berlanga is that Berlanga wants the big fights and Top Rank wanted to put the brakes on them. And that's when and one of the things I've been hearing, and I can't understand why people are not more excited, is about Teofimo versus Josh Taylor. I mean, I love that fight. That's an exciting fight. Whoever wins.
I mean,
and if people are questioning that, it's like, what are you questioning? You're questioning Teofimo. He needs for what? He's been undisputed. He's been at the top, whether you like him or not. Why wouldn't you want a big fight? And that's what I'm saying. Like maybe Top Rank is telling him, hey, let's take it slow, take it easy. set stuff up. He's like, no, he's gonna invoke, because I think they owe him a pay-per-view. That's what he's been saying. If you remember, after the last fight, he said his pay-per-view Josh Taylor in December.
Yeah, but that fight, he also wanted that at a catch weight as well. I don't think Tio's being very transparent on how he wants these fights.
Well, is that Quags?
Yeah, it's me, buddy.
What's up, Quags?
Yo, buddy.
Well, it seems that it seems like Top Rank wants to fight. That's what they said on Teofimo's side. They want to fight, and if this can happen in summer, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
right now
they're saying he was willing to go overseas. It'll be in the UK on pay-per-view.
Right.
That's good for us. More time to sleep afterwards.
Tio's a talented fighter. If he's got his head in the game and he's on, he's a talented kid. He'll make for a good fight. He's tough.
I think you guys are going to be surprised how much size he gives up in that fight. Josh Taylor is underreported for how big he is.
I think like 5'11" or some crazy shit.
I think he's tall. He's like my size. He's big.
Yeah.
How do you guys see that fight going, if you guys don't mind me asking?
I think Taylor stops him in 10.
I could see Tio piecing him up. Taylor leaves his hands down. He wants to be slick, but I don't know how much he could be breaking down. That's what I see in him with everything that's happening. He just keeps
I'd like
breaking
to see
down.
Taylor fight again first, because I don't know how to judge him right now coming off that. I don't really want to go by the Catterall fight, his last performance, because for obvious reasons. But I'd like to see him how he performs with his newest trainer. That will determine a lot. You know what I mean?
He does have a new trainer. But I think that me personally, I think he struggles with some southpaws, not all of them, but some southpaws, because he struggled with Regis pretty bad, and he struggled with a pure boxer southpaw in Catterall.
I think anybody struggles with Regis though at 140. He's a nightmare.
Yeah. Tio, I mean, if you look at when Taylor fought Ramirez is a guy who's going to be in front of you. He's slow-footed. I think Ramirez had his moments, but Tio's going to be giving him angles. If Tio is at where he needs to be, he will beat Josh Taylor. He gives angles and can throw from different, from those angles. That's going to give Taylor problems.
I just think that Taylor's better against orthodox fighters.
I think the size and power will show up in this fight. I think you saw how Kambosos hit him, and he was like, "Whoa, what was that?" If Taylor hits him like that, he's not going to get up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that was a one-off. He was having those issues.
It could be. I'm just saying the power discrepancy is it's completely different. The guy,
I don't think he's packing that power, man. I don't think Tio's packing that power that he's had at 135. These guys are just naturally bigger, man.
You just need speed. That speed. Trust me, Tio. He's a phenomenal boxer. If you just watch the Lomachenko, he outboxed the boxer.
Well, he's slugged. I don't think he outboxed him. Watch the last half of that fight. He was getting torn up, but he did a good job slugging with him in the beginning parts of it. That's why he was successful. He used his size. He used his power. He made Loma back off. But as the fight wore on, Loma was eating him up.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Tito going to beat Taylor. I just think he has the tools.
I think he can beat him. I think he can beat him.
It's when I'm hearing people talk and no one's giving him a chance and they don't like the fight.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying I love the fight. I think that could be fight of the year if it was either Regis.
Personal. A lot of people with their personal feelings, right?
With all the other big fights, Fulton and Inoue, and Davis Garcia, I think the fight of the year would have been Regis Tio. But now I think it'll be this one. I really see this ending in a spectacular knockout from one of the guys. They're gonna get caught.
I can see it being a very interesting fight, very friendly fight. Now look for Taylor. His defense is not the best. Yeah, he can get hit. So Tio is accurate enough. But man, he's a southpaw and with high volume, fighting at short range. All those three things gave him hell against Loma. Loma gave him hell with these two things. Only that Josh Taylor is much sturdier than Loma is because at 140 because he's bigger and he can take a punch. He's a huge 140-pounder fighter, so he can take Teofimo's punches better even than Loma did. And yeah, with his volume, I would guess he's going to maul him.
Oh, yeah, that could be, but I just want, let's just see. Hopefully, it gets done because it doesn't exist until it's on signed.
And that's true. I just heard people talking.
I'm down to watch
I like
it.
these guys like Berlanga and Teo wanting the big fights, and then we criticize them when they don't get the big fights, and we can't even get these fights past
I don't
the
think
line.
Teo gets criticized for the same things Berlanga does. So I think Berlanga has a lot of technical deficiencies. I think Teo gets more criticized for the politics, before like getting these fights started. With his dad and all that shit.
But we have to understand the criticism is that when we criticize somebody, it's because they're not fighting the best. Now these guys, they want to fight the best, so I'm okay with that. Like I don't.
Yeah, they should get credit for that, and I think they will get credit for that. When it comes to Teofimo Lopez, a criticism I think has to do with whether or not he's 100%, whether or not he can actually make it at 140. I mean, if that is a criticism, I guess there are questions, but I don't really see a lot of
questions.
Yeah.
Well, he can always just do what these other guys are doing and try to take on, middle contenders, middle of the road guys, earn a minimum because probably still in six figures,
Personally, I think Teo would benefit greatly, and I'm never one to call for soft matches. I think it's one of the problems in boxing, but. As someone, if I was speaking solely as a Teofimo fan, I'd say, Bob, give this kid one that's a guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like, just show his confidence. He needs to go out and blast somebody out like he used to, because that will just give him. Like, I'd like to see him do that before going into that next big fight.
I think it's a great idea.
Just as a fan, I'd like to see him get his confidence up and all that side shit out of his head. Yeah, exactly. Plus, they used to
guys hit harder.
I want to see the best of him fight the best of these guys. That's all. Because it'll just make for a better fight.
They hit harder too up there. You know that, Jimmy. Like, so it's like you might as well if you're going to take a fight and you want to adjust and acclimate, you might as well do it against somebody that you have better skills against. I give him credit. If he really wants to test that out against Taylor, more power to him. But if I was his manager, I would give him a tune-up before that for sure.
So Ramirez, isn't he going to be fighting Comey?
Yeah, that's a wash.
Is he?
I mean,
he should figure that out. Even though he's been awful lately, he moves around too much. Have you guys noticed that? Why does he has like a lot of wasted movement for some reason?
Ramirez?
Yeah. Have you watched his last couple of fights?
He's got
just
slow feet.
Glitchy.
He's slow-footed, like a lot of Mexican
I know, but
fighters.
from the waist, though, watch how he moves from his waist. Like, he's, like, moving around, and the guy's not even doing anything. It's like, dude.
Yeah, that's a Chavez tactic. You move their head. It's just not going to look like a Mike where he can, like, side bend,
He's just wearing himself out is all I'm saying. He's kind of he's not using it appropriately. He needs to step down on him a little bit and kind of feint it a little bit. He's using feints when the guy's not even in range.
One good example of wasted movements was Yardy against Benavidez the first couple of rounds. That was just he was wasting so much movement. There was wasted movement that he didn't have to be doing, which sucks energy out.
What I seen in Yard, he's just too bulky.
Too much muscles. The more muscles you have on your body, the more oxygen it takes to keep them active. Exactly.
Yeah, we talked about that over and over again.
Like, I don't know if you watched. Wasn't it Godovic who fought Beterbiev?
Bostic, yes.
Yes.
And I think he's making a comeback. Like, that type of body type, like, could just
motherfucker needs to buy a vowel, doesn't he?
Yeah,
but you gotta look at his name. The spell in the sake, dude. Buy a vowel, motherfucker.
Like, Yarde was shooting straight, but he's just too bulky. I don't know how to explain it.
No, you're right. He's almost like it happened. Jimmy was talking about this like a couple months ago, and they're talking about why Benavidez was so fast because he doesn't have big shoulders and he doesn't have a lot of muscle, so he doesn't have to work around himself to get his punches off. Yard's the exact opposite. He's the exact opposite of that. He's too big for his own good.
Sharp punches, and he was successful. The check hook was working for him. But
that's good. That's good if you're a bouncer or something. And the fight's only going to be like 30 seconds. You're just going to use your size and strength to maul somebody. But over a long haul, added muscle like that doesn't help you. It's only going to hinder. I think if he lost 10 or 15 pounds around his shoulders and put it on his legs, he'd do better.
Yeah, you guys know that Gilberto Ramirez is coming back against Rosado, man. That's a wasted.
What?
That's a waste. Yeah, Rosado.
That should be he should be
Rosado.
thrown in jail. That's going to
Yeah,
be assault.
Damn.
yeah.
Dude's
He
got
should be fighting
16
Callum
losses.
Smith. Zerto should be fighting Callum Smith. That's who he should be
No,
fighting.
Rosado should have. They should have fed Rosado to Berlanga. That's what they should have did
Right.
because he's a natural 168er.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't.
Rosado versus Berlanga.
Well,
And
Rosado's
then-
a 160 pounder, really.
But he's outgrown it technically.
I
He's
know he
outgrown it.
has. I mean, I'm just saying, if you want to talk about
No, I'm saying because he gave Rosado gave Munguia hell. That was like fight of the year to me. Rosado Munguia was fight of the year.
they should have him, not Rosado. They should have the other kid fight like Joe Smith or something like that.
Yeah, he was say that. Why not Ramirez versus Yard?
Yeah, Ramirez versus Joe Smith, Ramirez versus Yard. That'd be those. I think all of us would like that. Those guys, somebody's gonna go. That ain't going to.
Yeah, you know what? And that just shows you how great Better Biev and Bivol is because all those guys could beat each other. Yard, Smith, it'll be a great Zerto. They're all gonna fight, make great fights, but they can't beat the top guys.
No.
Yep.
Like Inoue proved, like all these guys below him, they're all gonna fight each other again, but they can't beat that guy.
Right.
Yeah, I heard they threw him a party when he went up to 122.
They're all gonna make money now.
We're gonna give you a send away party, man. See ya, get the fuck out of this
Kind of
division.
if you think about it, having an elite guy is bad for business. Because now they're all gonna make money.
I think they can become relevant again because he did. He took out guys. Benavidez, the kid who, he had 48 pro fights. He fought fucking Donaire in his prime and had never been down a day in his life. You know what I mean? Never off his feet. And fucking Inoue obliterates him in 2 rounds. It's just
like
that guy, like a fucking mule.
Did you watch him, Rodriguez? He beat one of the Gary Russell
brother. Yeah,
he's gonna get a title shot now, and he's gonna make some money.
Oh, he hit that kid
anyway, obliterated him.
Body shot. Remember that? The look on his face.
Yeah, he was bleeding out the nose. The way he was bleeding out the nose, it was weird. Damn, that was bad.
That kid gave him a good fight.
He went down. He looked over his corner. Oh yeah, he did. Rodriguez is a tough kid. He's a good boxer.
Yeah,
tough
he
kid.
was all over him. I was really
him.
unimpressed with Russell's brother in that fight a little bit. He was getting hurt. That kid came after him.
Yeah, Rodriguez.
But it goes to show you how good of a fucking win that was for Inoue, because Rodriguez is a tough kid. And most guys, if they didn't get up from that first knockdown with that body shot, it was just a brutal liver shot. Anybody would have said, okay, no shit, of course you didn't get up. In fact, the announcer said, oh, he's not getting up from that. And he got up because he looked over his corner, waved, shook his head, no, don't throw the down. All right, I can continue. The second after he went down after that, he went, and he rolled over on his back. And that was, his corner wasn't going to let him go anymore because at that point
they said it's going to be Maloney Rodriguez. They're going to fight for one of those vacant belts, but that guy gets another payday. That's how good Inoue is.
No, it was Maloney and Donaire.
No. It's going to be Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Vincent Astrolabio. The guy that beat.
Okay, my bad.
And then I think they're gonna top rank.
That's a good one, Astrolabio.
Yeah. Top rank wants Maloney to fight for the WBO, and I don't know who's Donaire is going to fight. I don't know why he's even fighting for the title. He got washed. He got completely crushed.
Because they're all vacant belts. That's how good Inoue was, man. None of these guys could get paid and get a belt, but now that he's gone, they all got a shot.
Yeah, and man, how much I hated when the LTBC and PBC fanboys were criticizing Inoue for his undisputed run, saying that he beat nobodies. And now
they don't want
and that moment when they were shitting on Inoue, I was telling I've been saying for years that his run at bantamweight was great, and that the Rodriguez win was a huge victory, his best today with Donaire. And they were saying, no, he's no one. And now you can see how badass fighter is the Rodriguez guy. But
it's funny because now that he's fighting Fulton, now they're finally giving him the fucking credit he deserves.
Yeah, but
you know what? But you know what? to them, they were all saying, like Rare Breed and everyone else, they were saying, oh, bantamweights, 118, those are small guys, I'm not watching them. But now they're watching 122 pounds because there is Fulton, who's a good fighter, but
I was about to say that.
Well,
I was about to say that.
look at that
criteria there. They said they don't watch smaller guys fight, but yet, so that's pretty disingenuous. Well, how would you know if they're any good if you don't watch those divisions?
exactly.
They like morons.
On blast. They admit what they exact. I say that all the time. Like in one breath, you're saying you don't mess with the small guys, but then you'll say who he fought to nobody. It's just going to show you where they're coming from. But Dante's Boxing Nation, he put out a video last week where he said, and he's fighting fucking Fulton, a black American champion. Of course, has to push the black American champion. Then he went on to say how they're historically been avoided, which is just, you can't, name one. Instead of just saying it, actually give us a name, but they'll never do that. And then he goes on to say how it took the old media by surprise. Nobody saw Inoue doing this. And it's like Steve Kim wrote an article about it a year ago, you fucking clown. You know what I mean? Like, you never talked about Inoue. Steve Kim's been talking about him for 4 fucking years. And he said, because it was March or February of last year. No, it was in February. So almost a year ago, he said, by the end of the year, whether I'm unified or not, I'm going to go to 122 and I want to fight Fulton. He said him by name, and that was a year ago. And this was last week. That kid's put out a video. It goes to show you the echo chamber they're dealing with, because if he had honest fans who followed the sport, they would have checked him on and said, what are you talking about, dude? Inoue himself tweeted out a year ago, talked about this, that he was going to leave at the end of the year, go to 122, and he wants to fight Fulton. This isn't a surprise. He's just saying that. It's just, again, old media. That's that fucking weirdo term they use. Like, there's old and new in a profession. Oh, I'm a new crab fighter. Crab fisherman. That means I fall overboard. Like, the fuck you talking about? Old and new.
I actually had interactions with them on Twitter with Cool Boy, because I was going back and forth with them because he was going to move to fight Figueroa, and they were defending that. And then on one side, they said they kicked Figueroa's ass, then he needs to go up and beat him again because they didn't want the Inoue fight for him.
Well,
then how that turned out.
What the good thing is that Inoue has the fan base in Japan. He's over the years he's been very consistent and he's been very good at knocking people out. That he's built up a very big fan base over there, so he's
huge. He's like a Michael Jordan
Japanese fighting in general. They're extremely nationalistic.
His replays get 10 million views. His replays. Think about that, dude. We don't got no fighters here who pull 10 million views. Never mind a fucking replay.
Imagine if the fight between Ioka and Tanaka was a huge thing there. Imagine then Inoue, who's 3 times as big of a fighter as them, more popular than them.
At first I thought Ryota Murata. I heard because he got the gold medal, he was the big guy. But I think he was popular. But now, anyway,
especially because he's a bigger guy too. There's not a lot of big guys in Japan, so when they get like a bigger guy like middleweights or even guys that are like welterweights, they get a lot more publicity.
Yeah, but now that Inoue,
sorry, brother, go.
Now that Inoue's become undisputed, because there's never been a Japanese fighter that's unified 3 belts or more. So he's breaking all types of records over there.
Yeah.
So like this guy, like they're willing to put all the money, and it's not like the Tim Tszyu thing. Well, Tim Tszyu, he's good, but they're really behind him because of the name. He did it off his own.
He's a legacy.
He's a legacy baby. Tim Tszyu's a legacy baby, but Inoue did it all on his own. Like his dad never got to fight pro, but he trained him up to be the fighter that he is now.
Yeah, and
I gotta be honest.
The levels in between Tim Tszyu and Inoue is huge, to be honest. Talent level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
balance.
look at his party, that was much better than his son. Obviously, right? I think we'd all agree on that too. So there's actually something to be said for that. Sometimes, like having your father being an all-pro athlete or an all-pro boxer for our comparison right now, maybe that's not a great thing because they're so much better. The shadows is too cast too far. You know what I'm saying? But in Inoue's case, his dad had amateur experience, had all the right tools, but the physical ones, right? Then he had a son, gave him all the right things, and his son took it farther than he did.
Yeah, and he has a brother too, right? Who's a fighter. Inoue has a brother who's a boxer.
Takuma Inoue, yeah.
And Inoue, he's got great balance, fast hands, hits hard and accurate with both hands. I mean,
You know why he has so much power?
Personally, he's the most devastating, dominant fighter in boxing right now.
You know why he has so much power, Jimmy? Is because he squares his shoulders, kind of like how Triple G does. He doesn't dip too much. When he hits you completely level. When he hooks and stuff like that, he keeps his shoulders square.
And if you look where his feet are when he makes contact, if you put everything in slow motion, super slow, and you look as he makes contact, it's a very short punch usually, which is always the shorter it is to the body, the more power you can have on it. And both feet are flat, completely flat on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah, and he punches in combination.
Yep.
You know, body, head. He does a lot of special things. What they're saying is that the problem is he's never fought a slick African American. Like that's what you're gonna hear leading up to the fight. He's never fought a slick African American. It's gonna be a problem.
It's true.
Like, you know,
it's true.
That's not the best style in the world. That's just what they tend to think.
That's just a style. I agree with you. That's just a style. It's the best style in the world.
He's never fought anybody who hits like Inoue.
Exactly. I think the best style in the world, just for my taste, is if you could see a guy that can has defense built into their offense. In my opinion, that's the highest form of boxing. Running around the ring and surviving and picking your shots, they teach you how to do that when you're a kid in the amateur. You know, when you're in the amateurs and stuff like that.
Footing.
Right. Well, just like this, learn how to survive. You know, you have to learn you have to learn the craft and different things. But I think all of us realize that have boxed before. It's much harder to go at somebody, slip shots, and then get your shots in.
My favorite, and I'm gonna say something. My favorite fight that I just seen was the Ruben Villa versus Rashidi Ellis. Perfect example. That was like my fight of the year so far. Is about those type of styles, back footing, and then you have Ruben Villa, who he was getting pieced up a bit, but you know. You can never underestimate aggressiveness.
No, and it's necessary for the fight. It says entertainment on the ticket, right? So you can't have two guys just walking around tapping each other. Somebody needs to make it a real fight, or there's no entertainment value. That's one thing I think a lot of boxing we've lost over the years in boxing. Guys, when I was a kid, like in the 80s, in the early 90s, guys came to fight.
They came to take each other's heads off.
Yeah, now it's like this is like glorified like amateur matches. Half the time, sometimes you get guys that want to go at it.
They knew that it wasn't just how you win. I mean, it's not just that you win; it's how you win. That's going to determine a lot. Exactly. Yep. You know, everybody's fighting for limited TV time slots. You know, my boy Mickey Ward was never fucking world champion at that level and shit, but yet. Think about this. He was on ESPN more than any fighter in history. Why? Because they knew he was fucking going to make a good fight, no matter what.
Look at Rosado. The guy's he can get on TV anytime he wants.
He fights everybody. If you look at, if I know he hasn't won like the fights that he's been in, like on the big names, but resume wise, that guy has been in with almost everybody.
Yep.
He has nothing to be ashamed of.
I know people say styles makes fights, but I hate this term. Styles means everything, and the style is not everything. A lot of it is grit, determination, how hard you hit. People say, "Oh, you can't." It's eye testing. It's like, yeah, but when a motherfucker can hit, he can fucking hit. You can't teach that. Like, I forgive Raleigh because he can crack. Like, I know people hate Raleigh, but if he puts hands on you, your lights are going out.
I don't think anybody hates
intestinal fortitude. Intestinal fortitude is an underrated, attribute, and it's a hard one to gauge. You don't know until you're tested.
Did you hear what Ruben Villa said? Do you guys remember what he said after he fought Rashidi Ellis?
What?
He said, "Give me a Mexican. I want somebody with balls." watch the
Listen,
end of the fight because he didn't like Rashidi backfooting all night. But that backfoot style has weaknesses, and nobody wants to admit that.
Oh, it has big time weaknesses. Oh, it depends. Like if you have judging criteria, if I was a judge and I saw somebody giving up large parts of the ring with the whole fight, and there's not a lot of action, I'm already giving it to the guy going forward. In my opinion, that's how I look at it.
people didn't notice, but Villa was obviously he didn't win most of the first half, but a lot of the last half, people were saying 8-4. Nah, bro, that was like 6-6 with 3 knockdowns, even though they counted 2 knockdowns. But you guys get my point. And a lot of during the last half, whenever you would see Villa landing shots on Ellis, if you look at Ellis's face and his body language, he was not liking that at all. So by that alone, I would also give the rounds to Villa.
Yeah, and here's the thing you got to remember: when you're watching fights, the announcers have a lot of sway. So when you listen to Bradley and Ward, those shields, they're gonna be like, "Ooh, on a jab." Like, get the fuck out of here. Like when you watch Rashidi, Villa was landing from long range. Like that right was reaching over and cracking him on the top of the head.
Yeah,
he was getting hurt.
Villa's not perfect, but that performance was pretty underrated because I saw people saying some of them were trolling, obviously, and I know they were trolling, but they're like, this guy got robbed and stuff like that. No, he didn't. He clearly won.
It's like a weird. No, Ellis had his moments. He was piecing up Villa, but it wasn't hurting him. Like to me, when I watch a fight, I'm looking to see who gets hurt.
Exactly.
Like when I watched Karen versus Boots Ennis, like Karen had, I don't want to say he hurt him, but he shook him. You can see he landed some clean because Karen was throwing straight. He was throwing right down the pipe. Watch it again. And he was stopping Ennis in his tracks. No one's done that yet.
Did anyone notice that fight? Ennis' feet are like terrible. Like when you was trying to close distance with a jab, it looked like he was very uncomfortable, just like stepping forward.
He keeps his feet really wide. Guys that do that don't move around too well usually.
Yeah, because he's in between a mix of the back foot bitching and wanting to be aggressive. It's like his heart,
you know what it reminds me of?
Wants to be aggressive, but his mind, he wants to box.
It reminds me of like a fencer stance. Like he wants to sit down and kind of spear shots at you, but then he wants to get back out at the same time. He doesn't want to take anything.
It's the Adrian Broner effect. Like when Mayweather was effective, it was Mayweather would sit down and he could throw from long range. Like watch Victor Ortiz, he was piecing him up from the outside.
Yeah. I got a question for you guys, though.
No, yeah, like Broner was that fights like Ellis, Enos, Broner. But when you got inside, he didn't know what to do. Whereas Mayweather could fight inside.
And Ellis only has himself to blame for that fight too. He didn't try to pour it on in the last rounds as hard as he should have. He didn't try to, go in there. I think, well, obviously he fights too infrequently. He's a kid from Lynn, Mass. He's from nice state. And the infrequency, you can't fight once in every 18 months and expect that not to have a negative effect. And it did. It absolutely had a negative effect. His timing was off a little bit. I think if Rashidi, if he was up on his game and fighting on a regular, he probably would have won that fight. But I think he got sloppy and lazy, and that's what happens, man. But
he was supposed to fight Virgil Ortiz, but they turned to fight.
Oh, Virgil would have murdered Ellis. No wonder he didn't want that fight.
But speaking of Virgil, man, I mean, this contract, if Crawford was to sign with Golden Boy fighting whatever his name, Rocha, then Virgil, it really means that no way after that he will be able to fight Spence. We know Spence and PBC don't want that fight, but even if they wanted, I would say that unless he cleanly knocks out Virgil Ortiz, he won't get the victory on the Golden Boy card if he fights Ortiz. So he's going to take an L, and that fight would lose even more interest.
Yeah, if he signs with Golden Boy, without a doubt, that's obviously going to be Golden Boy's plan. Listen, you fight Rocha, and then the big fight, we'll pay you like guaranteed 10 or whatever against Ortiz. Ortiz is going to get back out there, man. He's got to fight more often, though. I know he had some physical injuries, but he's got to get out there and fight more often.
I'm in the minority. I think Virgil, he'll stop Bud. He's gonna stop him.
Oh.
I think everything is possible.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I
Virgil.
think Bud's getting older.
Body attack is relentless.
Really young. That's usually dangerous.
My opinion is Ortiz is the hottest punching welterweight. I think he's the most powerful punching welterweight right now.
Yeah.
Well, what you're going to hear is he gets hit.
Frank, but the thing that I don't like about Virgil is, his last fight showed against that mover who he fought that he was too predictable with his offense, and also the tall guy that he fought from Crawford's camp, the one that I think retired by now, the one that broke his hand and Virgil won by technical knockout. I think that in spots he was making look Virgil bad when he started using the lateral movement on the ropes. So stylistically, I would favor Crawford, but Virgil is relentless. So I would have to think about that fight, but I can see any outcome.
I think being a good fight, but I think Virgil's going to win in a similar fight to how Kelly Pavlik versus Jermaine Taylor was. It's going to be a war because they both hit hard, but I think Virgil's pace is what's going to let him win.
Depends when
Terrence
they do
is not going to want to exchange with Virgil, and he's going to have to. He's not going to be able to dance around the ring. He's going to have to open up, and I don't think he wants to open up with Virgil Ortiz.
Depends when they do it. That's all I have to say. If they do it now, Crawford has the advantage. They drag this out like everything else, and they wait another year.
Crawford taking that fight. I doubt he takes it.
In the hypothetical, if they drag this out longer and they decide to do this 2 years later,
let me say this:
his window is closing. If he
Terrence
wants to
is better off fighting Earl than Ortiz, because Earl, we've seen he's out of shape. He's had all these issues. Terrence is better off fighting that guy than Ortiz.
I agree. I'm not making that point. I'm just more saying, like, if he's going to do that, he's better off doing it now than later. His window's closing. Crawford's better off right now than he will be 2 yees later. So if he's really considering fighting Ortiz, sooner than later for him.
That's a good point. A Rocha Crawford fight, that's a no-brainer for Crawford. He should take that all day, every day. I think it'll end bad for Rocha.
You never know, though, with boxing. We've seen some crazy upsets recently.
That Ghana guy was tagging Rocha.
I know. I got Crawford as well, but I'm just saying you never know these days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you never know, but the odds, it'll be a 10-1 fight. Rocha Crawford is going to be 10-1. I think it'll be fun to watch. It'll be a highlight reel knockout. If they put a good card together. Boxing, man, I mean, we talk about the politics and all the issues, but it's just the good fights. That's all. Berlanga, Canelo, I like Benavidez-Plant. That's going to be a good one.
Who do you think's going to win?
Benavidez is going to steamroll Plant.
I don't think it'll be a steamroll, but I think Benavidez will knock him out eventually. But anyways, I got to go, guys. It was great chatting with you guys. I don't know if I'll be back later, but yeah, you guys take care and have a good one. God bless.
All right, see you.
Is Quags? You leaving?
No, it's Gearson.
Okay, because I have a bad connection
I'm not saying that Plant doesn't have a chance, but I mean, obviously, he has a chance. I think what's the odds on that? Anybody know yet?
I think Benavidez is a slight favorite.
That. If the odds
Benavidez is the favorite. I thought Plant opened the favorite.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but I'll tell you this much. I agree with you guys. I think Benavidez wins, but the odds get really fucked up. You have to look at risk versus reward. Plant can win that fight. It's not out of the realm for him to win that.
No, I mean, he has a great chance to win. He can. We haven't seen Benavidez in a this type of matchup.
The odds get over like plus 250. It might be something considered to bet on.
What it would be was Plant. Can he keep it going? Can he keep the conditioning? Will he have the conditioning to go all 12? Yeah, because that's his best bet. He doesn't want to get in a slug fight, with Benavidez, obviously. But will he have the gas tank to be able to keep him out at the end of his jab?
He needs to keep
still
off the
putting enough
rope.
punches on yes, he gets back away from the ropes, while keeping enough on his power punches to keep him honest. Because if all you're trying to do is keep him out at the end of a jab, he's just going to steamroll right through it to get his hands on you. But he hits hard enough to keep people honest. He hit hard enough to keep Canelo from jumping in.
Well, look, I mean, we know that Plant is the better boxer. Like, let's just chalk that, right? Who has the speed advantage? Height. Benavidez has the height advantage, right?
I'd say hand speed. Benavidez is faster, hand speed wise, in combination.
Benavidez has the power advantage. But we know that Plant is the better boxer. But I just can't see Plant outboxing him for 12 rounds. He's going to have to fight.
Here are the odds. David Benavidez is 5-14 favorite. He opened up 5-9, and now he's 5-14. And Caleb Plant is 41-20.
What's a knockout? Did you seen that? The over under on a knockout?
No.
It's probably gonna be. I could see maybe Benavidez getting the stoppage like in the later rounds, like around 9-12, but the odds for Plant getting the stoppage are probably gonna be really high.
Plant getting the stoppage, or even Benavidez getting the stoppage?
I mean, I'm talking about
Plant getting stopped.
Correctly. I'm talking about you make a lot of money if Plant were to get the knockout. You know what I'm saying? Like
okay. Yeah,
the value for that's gonna be extremely high.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I like David's energy. I like with all the shit talking, man. I think David. I seen something different. I know there's a lot of talk. Mexicans are going for Plant. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of cross interference on this one.
Well, somebody put out a whole tweet breaking down the kid's family tree, where he grew up, his mother's ethnicity, and a whole bunch of Mexicans kind of are pushing this thing where this kid's a fake Mexican. He's Mexican, he's an American. He's not even
an Ecuadorian.
He's an Ecuadorian. His mother's from Ecuadorian. That's where his real father was from, and this guy now isn't his real father. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, type of shit. He was born and raised in fucking America, or born in they're trying to say he's Ecuadorian, and they're pissed that he's using that he's a Mexican.
Yeah, they found him by a river in a basket, right? He's he's just a fucking anomaly.
But guys, you're going to be surprised when we talk about fake Mexicans. You know who's a fake Mexican? Virgil Ortiz. He doesn't have anything to do with Mexico. He's of Peruvian origin, and he doesn't even speak Spanish. You know, I figured it out like 2 years ago in the post-fight interview in the ring when he said he's learning Spanish, but he doesn't speak it.
So but yeah, he looks Peruvian.
Well, he grew up
Indian
here.
Look.
He grew up here.
Exactly, Jimmy.
Why would you expect people to speak Spanish? They grew up in America. I mean, second language. Of course, he probably learned a second language, but I don't understand the stigma against that.
No. Yeah, I get your question. I'm not saying that it's a problem to me, but it's marketing-wise is like a bad thing for him because he's promoted to the Mexican fan base, and it would be better for them if they hidden the fact that he doesn't even speak Spanish, which I didn't know. I always assumed that he was speaking Spanish, and then in the post-fight interview when he beat Hooker, I think, he said that he just started learning Spanish, you know, and I thought it was a bad look for his popularity.
You know how I knew he wasn't a prototypical Mexican American person. I could be also maybe I'm wrong on this, but just by his music and the way he, like the things he does, his hobbies. I mean, his favorite band was like Kill Switch Engaged. I mean, he's a wicked metalhead. You know what I mean? And I know there's a ton of Mexicans who love metal. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, he's a huge metalhead. And then like the other things he's into, just So I'm like, that's strange.
His hairstyle. Did you see Benavidez' hairstyle in the Plant press conference?
Cornrows. What's wrong with it?
I'm just saying,
I think it's a good look.
Giving
I
some
mean, I
arguments.
just liked how he came across. I think he really, he has the it factor.
I didn't like the way he conducted himself. Like the things
With
he was
what?
saying.
The cussing or him and his dad? What
Him and
was
his
wrong with
dad,
it?
they were acting.
I usually like your opinion, Bucho, right? Or BDA?
It's Bucho.
I usually like your opinions, but I know some people said they had a problem with it. I don't see the problem.
I don't like how he he stood up and trying to make it dirty, like trying to fight the guy. What's like? You're gonna fight him inside the ring. Why try to fight him now?
Sell the fight.
Nah, he wasn't trying to sell the fight. He got pissed off.
Well, they fought before.
When Plant brought up the cocaine. When Plant brought up the cocaine, he got really pissed off.
Yeah, they already fought before though in the gym. There's a video out. The Plant sucker punched his little brother Jose.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like he has always been trying to sell a fight like that. So why now?
They don't like each other.
Is that what you're getting
at? It's very personal. It's very
I just didn't like the way he was conducting himself.
Like, don't you kind of think
you can talk shit? You can talk shit, but like acting like that, I don't know. I don't like it.
Plant comes across as bipolar to me. I'll be honest with you. He comes across like a guy that's like in between like two worlds and shit. I
don't like the Plant going to the cocaine thing. I think that's like, that's low rent. It's like, come on, really? Why would you mention that shit? Keep that shit. Like, I don't know.
Well, they hate each other. It's like bad blood, like Vargas and De La Hoya.
But you can say plenty of shit. You can cut them up. Plant could have said all kinds of shit. You ain't fucking this, tap up. But like bring up like cocaine. It's like what Benavidez turned around and said, dude, man, fucking your mother got shot by the police.
It's not on the same level, man. Shit. Come on.
Is anybody buying the fight? Is everybody buying the fight or not?
That's just not the same level, huh, Bucho?
Probably not.
Are we buying the fight? I mean,
it's a good fight, but to be honest, it shouldn't be a pay-per-view. To be honest,
no way.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight, but it should be on Showtime. If you're paying for Showtime,
exactly.
Sure. Well,
what are you getting on Showtime then? If you're not getting that on Showtime, what the hell are you getting?
Well, Jimmy, or I forgot who said it. Somebody said it best. They lost their belts, and now they're having this shit. Like there's nothing on the line other than
an intern title. That's on the line. So basically, it puts him in line for Canelo.
All right.
It's
boxing. I mean,
that's
cool. That's cool, I guess. And we have to act like so. This is a 12-round fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a championship. It's a championship match.
Well, that's good. That's good in theory. I mean, it's a fake title though. Now we have to act like this guy is like the winner of this bout's going to have some kind of like trinket that's wrapped around like, and you need to fight me now. It's like, oh my god.
The Devin Haney had before Lomachenko. It's the interim. Interim is different from the regular, right? Interim means like when Inoue, when he vacated, if you had the interim, then you automatically who just became champion. Somebody automatically became champion. That's what it means, right? Interim. When the champion vacates,
it's when there's a vacancy, is what you're saying. Interim is when the other champion is relinquished.
Like in the meantime, it's like in the meantime,
right
before he.
When you fight a title eliminator, right? Like we just seen a title eliminator get you an interim. Like they can word it any way, but an interim does hold.
So what belt is this? Just for my.
It's the interim WBC, right?
What belt is this up for grabs for though? Is this like
David's
a
already
regular?
David doesn't even have to. Okay, so David doesn't even have to fight this fight. He's already the interim champion. So if Canelo vacated, he becomes automatic champion. So they're just using it as a title belt, right? They're fighting for the interim.
He wouldn't have to fight anybody. He would automatically become the 160-pound champ.
But that's what the interim you have to be the regular champion, right? On paper.
No, regular is just regular. There's no more regulars. The only one left is the WBA, which like Gervonta holds.
Well, that's the regular champ. Oh, okay. All right.
No, interim means okay. So you can like put it this way.
I understand what interim means. I was more questioning what belt was going to be the interim champ. You're talking about a fictitious title right now.
It's not. It is a legit title. Not in their world. Not like the fans. We don't have to recognize it. right? You're not a legitimate world champion, but you are. It's a legitimate title for them.
Exactly, because Canelo's the undisputed. You know what I mean? Undisputed 168-pound champion, meaning he has all the belts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same thing like when they announced Javante at the press conference. I mean, that guy Ray Flores like 5 times announced him as world champion, and still, you know what I mean? It's like kept saying it, world champion. Like, dude, no, you're not. Haney is the fucking undisputed. You're a junior belt holder. Stop. And it was Davis, him, his fucking trainer clap, and nobody else was. It was just so obvious. It's like one breath you say belts don't matter because you transcend the belts because you're such a big star. But the same token, you want everybody to call you the world champion. It's disingenuous, dude. You're not the world champion.
Yep. It's for branding. It's for branding purposes.
Yeah.
You know, they want that attached to their name.
Both guys are ex-champions. So Plant was an ex-champion and David was an ex-champion. So
it's not a pay-per-view, man. It's not. This is not pay-per. This shouldn't be a pay-per-view. It's
no. Even like
two top contenders.
That wasn't.
I think it's two top contenders. Obviously, they're not fighting for a world championship. I don't care what the fuck they say. Canelo is a champion. Even if Canelo, like, they take away a belt from Canelo and they give it to these guys, Canelo's still the champion. Like, I'm tired of this fucking bullshit. I mean, no, we're not doing this. There's one lineal champ per division, or there's a vacancy. And this fight, again, not a pay-per-view. Very good fight, interesting fight. Shouldn't be a pay-per-view.
Agree.
So it's team stream.
Yeah, of course they do.
Stream team. I want to see it though. Like, I don't want to be interrupted. Like, I probably will end up buying it. If Gervonta, I already said if Gervonta and Ryan doesn't happen, I'm gonna buy David and Plant. You guys crucify me.
Do we know what the undercard's gonna be or not yet?
Yeah, Rayo versus Colbert. That's a great one. Jesus Romero. Oh no, Jesse Ramos versus Spencer or something like that. It's stacked. I know we hate the PBC, but I mean, and I'm not a fan, but it is a stacked card. Look, if Gervonta Tank doesn't happen, I have a budget. I'm a buy.
I don't think we hate the PBC. I think their fighters do. I think that's the problem. Brunner, well, I was reading like a couple months ago, Brunner he hasn't been paid fully out for the Pac fight.
Well, the very reason for them finally making some good fights is that, they have no money and those people need fights. So PBC won't even exist in I don't know, a couple of months or years.
I'm about to say, they're not going to be around next year at this rate. They have nothing to leverage at all. I miscalculated this wrong. I really thought Al Haymon took the money that was given to him and he put it into like a high, like not a CD account, but something that would give him interest. And he was paying out fighters over quarterly periods, you know, off the interest rate. So he would keep the initial investment and still have that to leverage against other fights. So like if, for instance, if you had like Floyd fight, I'm not Floyd. I'm sorry. When you have Pacquiao, remember when he had to buy out Pacquiao to fight Thurman? Remember that? He had the money to do that at the time, but he had that in reserve. I don't think he has anything in reserve.
I don't know, man. I don't know shit about that.
He's closing. I mean, Showtime is closing. They
got over like $600 million from a hedge fund.
Even
company.
More than that.
Yeah,
but the only
that
thing
nature,
with that
it's all gone.
is that the zone schedule doesn't look too great either. Like, I mean, what's the point of having that? What were they getting? Lara and Winnington, right? That's the only really good
Warrington,
one.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be, wasn't Virgil Staniol supposed to happen in March, and then it had to be postponed. What is the zone giving us?
Over there. Well, it got postponed for April, I think. Stanionis and no. Sorry, we are talking Virgil. Yeah. Virgil Stanionis in April, I think.
But the zone's schedule looked kind of whack.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. We have Wood versus Lara.
I'm sorry.
It's not Warrington. Yeah, Wood versus Lara. Neri versus
and a bunch of
VK
fights.
Hovanesian.
It's pretty lame, dude. If you look at it,
Callum Smith in
mid.
March. Fierro versus Estella.
They should have Callum Smith fight Joe Smith. They need to figure this shit out. Light heavyweight. Somebody said it earlier that light heavyweight was weak. I don't think light heavyweight's weak at all. There's actually a decent amount of guys there. We just need to match them up properly.
No, I didn't say it was weak. I said it
I didn't say you guys did it. This before I hopped on. I was in the chat. People were saying that like light heavyweight was weak. I was like, what? I'm like, that's one of the stronger
divisions. There's like elite, and then there's everybody else.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. You just need to match.
But everybody else can make a bunch of great fights.
There are a bunch of fights on the zone for March and April, and also you have Joshua coming back. That's on in April. Then you have Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez against Gabe Rosado.
That's laughable.
I mean, but at least, but it's, to me, it's like, it's okay. You're paying for boxing, you're getting this, but when it comes to the PBC, like why are we getting so many pay-per-views? I'm expecting a bunch of pay-per-views again. When they announce their schedule, it's gonna be pay-per-views, man.
That's at 175.
Yeah. Yes. He's moving up.
That's terrible.
And I noticed Top Rank is dark for this whole month. The next Top Rank on ESPN Plus is March 25th. That's the next time we get boxing. That's crazy.
Well, there's a lot of UFC fights on. You guys like that?
I don't watch that.
I mean, I guess nobody's really showing us a schedule yet, like a full schedule for this year, or a good schedule, but I can already see the Showtime giving us a bunch of pay-per-views. Wilder is going to fight on pay-per-view. Tank always fights on pay-per-view. Spence always fights on pay-per-view. This is getting ridiculous. Who else?
All 5 fights they've mentioned are all going to be pay-per-view. All the fights I've seen. The only thing was this Vargas. So, it's because Showtime, I know that they're on the verge of being no more. So their budget is probably spent. Listen, there's the reason why fucking Bellator just did a CBS. They were on CBS after signing a big deal. A big fight contract with Showtime. Within a year, they turn around making a big deal about fighting on CBS because the writing's on the wall. And also, this fight coming up, Showtime Saturday night. Here's a key thing: it's on Showtime, which is behind a paywall, because you have to have a subscription, right? They're also showing it for free on Fight TV. They're simultaneously showing it on Fight TV free, and that wouldn't be for no reason. Like, that isn't just because it's happening. To me, that's telling me that might be where the PBC flees to when Showtime gets turned into an app and no longer has boxing anymore. Because I think they're doing away with boxing.
Hey, wait, hang on a second.
Can you kick me out, please? Because my phone is bugging.
All right.
Hey, Jimmy, real quick.
Yes.
So, are you implying that Showtime's about to dump their entire sports sector?
Yes, Steven Espinosa is going to be fired.
Oh, all right.
Fired.
I believe wholeheartedly he's going to be fired, and I believe that it's going to PBC is going to go to Fight TV.
And where's Bellator going to go then?
CBS.
Oh, okay. Wow.
How is Fight TV going to pay them? They would be the ones putting up the license fee?
Yeah, they're not. Everything would have to be some kind of pay-per-view thing, something like on the Kenta Zone. You'd have to pay a monthly subscription, and then on top of that, on the big fights, you would pay pay-per-view. You're going to have to copy the Zone model in some way, shape, or form.
What the hell is on Fight TV, though? I'm trying to check it out here.
Well, there's Pro Box TV. That's like a new one. They put on some like mid cards.
Well, this is FITE Fight, right? Isn't that how they spell Fight TV?
Yeah, I seen.
And I believe it's being shown free, while simultaneously being played at Showtime, which you have to pay to get. Obviously, they've never done that before, so nothing is done for no reason. So I ask, why are they doing it? What's the purpose behind that? It kind of makes you think, like, so is that the route they're going?
It sounds like what they call like a liquidation sale, right, Jimmy? When the product's going down and they just want as many eyes on it as possible.
Yep. And I honestly believe in my heart that I think that, well, they're going to have to go somewhere.
Well, some of them
Or they close their doors.
Exactly. Right? Why can the PBC just basically disappear and the fighters go their way, like wherever they want to go?
Yeah, of course. I think that's what companies last forever?
I mean, I would guess that Haymon at best could keep some fighters and act like their manager, like he was doing only to deal with other companies like DAZN, Golden Boy, etc. If they accept him and his fighters.
All those fighters
he would not have the same power.
All those fighters could go to every one of those PBC fighters could flee. Some could go to the zone, some could go to Golden Boy, Top Rank, and it still wouldn't change the fact that it wouldn't change the fact that Haymon might still be their advisor because he might have them tied in for 11, 12 years. I mean, no matter where you go, you're paying me 15%.
Okay, in that context, though, Jimmy, can he advise them to go to certain organizations then?
No, he can't have the control he would under Showtime because that's where his control lies. Is he has his relationship with Showtime and the platform. It's how he controls their future. But if these guys go sign with other promoters, Haymon might not. All he will be is just an advisor. He can't legally make anybody do anything anymore.
Okay, so he can't pick the promoter that he wants them to be under.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the guy's smart. I mean he's smart. He leverages his fighters well. You know the leverage he has is those belts. You know, think about a Charlo. What would Charlo, who hasn't fought in 2 years, be without that WBC strap? He's somehow magically been able to hold on to. You know, look at this guy Pacquiao. He's gonna fight Rolly for a belt. So I mean, he has some leverage.
Yeah, he's dealing with WBC through Dunking.
You know, this upcoming title
coming off a knockout loss, and he's getting a fucking title fight. How do you figure that? That makes sense.
Russell, no shit. Good point, Jimmy.
Russell was going to fight what's his name? Pacquiao, but they didn't want to fight him right now because they felt that he needs some more fights. So that's when Rolly got the opportunity to get for the fight. And he took it. So that's what's happening. Unfortunately, I would like to see Russell fight.
Yeah, imagine Rolly a champion. That's a hell of a fight. Rolly as champion versus Ryan.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight.
Did you see them spar? Have you guys seen that?
Well, yeah,
there's things Rolly does that Ryan doesn't like, and Ryan did a good job in like keeping his composure and just landing his shots. But you could tell he's uncomfortable with a guy like that. Rolly's a bull in the china closet, you know, for lack of a better term. That dude like runs in there and he breaks everything around him, but he's wild. And if you fit your shots, then you can catch him. Obviously, we've seen him. Tank did it. It took him a long time.
Yeah, Rolly's got heavy hands. That's one thing I noticed. I mean, if he touches you,
he's just a rough dude too.
Hurt.
Like he came from judo, so like that's all.
Yeah,
like
he does.
Judo penalizes you for stalling. You know,
yeah,
so
he's making it uncomfortable.
The mentality is like just attack. I think that's why he's like that. He's used to just like darting at people.
You know, in boxing, I mean, one of the things, you know, hate or love the guy, he's got himself a title shot. So that's what it's about. You know, either get the big name or the title. If you can't get the big name in boxing, you go for the title. You know, and if you're not a big name,
we're not shitting on him.
Get the title.
We're not shitting on him though. We're just
I mean, most people do though. And I'm just saying he has a good team because I don't know if he's still with Mayweather. Is he still TMT? Can anybody confirm that?
No, I thought he was with. I thought
TMT
he was
lost
with
all their
another
fighters.
guy.
They lost all their fighters. They don't have any more fighters.
But he got himself a title shot for doing nothing, right? He hasn't had a fight.
He's with some guy in
then.
Las Vegas. I forget his name.
I mean, it's not easy to get a title shot, you know?
Yeah, they could have picked anybody, but
They usually do pick anybody. I think it is kind of easy to get a title shot. It's just like it's like a lottery. Some guys
especially coming off a knockout loss. I mean, you're not supposed to get a title shot coming off a
no
knockout
shit.
loss.
This is completely random. There's no reasoning for it, but he has it. And if you're him, you take advantage.
There is. If you're Pacquiao, you take the Rolly fight, right? Because Pacquiao, he just won the belt, so I don't know if it's a mandatory. Is it? There's some rules.
No.
What belt does he have?
No, he won a vacant, so I think when you win a vacant, you have to take on a mandatory right away.
Whatever,
right?
but what belt is it?
WBA.
It's the WBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the mandatory was Russell.
I know some of those. If you guys go on like the IBF's rankings, they don't even rank guys in the first 1 to 2 slots, and they implement them at random. So I don't know if the WBA does the same kind of shit. So that could be how he got this shot. They could have just placed him there.
Yeah, like they did Keith. They just threw him in there. I don't know.
Yeah, they just you're here now. We like this for what we need. Because they're thinking about money.
Keith's last win was he beat a 140-pound fighter that was stopped by a 135-pound fighter, and he gets ranked number 1 at WBC. That was just corruption.
I think I have a reasonable explanation for the title shot that Rolly got. Look, PBC around the weight class besides Tank Davis, they don't have huge names, better names than Rolly, who made his name by promoting himself by fighting Tank Davis, which was kind of big fight, one of the biggest fights on PBC. So he's one of the most popular guys from PBC in that weight class, and that's why PBC chose to push him for the title, because
scoreboard, plus you get all kinds of government benefits and fucking shit if you hire special needs people.
Yeah,
but
that's messed up, Jimmy. Come on.
But Pacquiao, he's a Dominican that doesn't speak English, so that needs somebody to they need someone to really push this fight, a name that they know.
Yeah, and he just won the title, so I mean it's probably good money for Pacquiao.
Yeah, it's good money for Pacquiao.
And I don't know. It's probably a voluntary. So who else was in line is Frank Martin. I don't think you want that problem just yet, or Antoine Russell, because he's another contender on their side of the street for that strap. But the fact that Rolly gets a title shot right off the back, I mean, it's either it's pretty genius if you ask me. After getting knocked out.
Yeah. Well, look at Wilder. How many times he lost to Fury, and
he's still number 1. He's still number 1 in the WBC.
Dude, that's what's crazy. Think about that. How could you lose that many times and be ranked that high in that organization? Doesn't make any kind of. There's no logical sense to that.
I guess because he has some historical value. He defended his title 10 times. He's been their most consistent champion besides Gary Russell, I believe.
Yeah, but he lost 2 times. So he lost 2 times.
He only lost 2 times.
But you lose to Fury once. Okay, I can understand the legacy, 10 title defenses, whatever. Then you lose again to Fury. Like, how many times do you have to lose until you go back down to number 5 or something?
Plus by knockout too. Plus brutally knocked out.
If you want to even count that, by knockout.
But when do we get to question a legacy? Who were those guys ranked? We talked about this like a year ago. These guys weren't even the top 50. What the fuck, man?
No, it's not like he knocked. He didn't knock out. He didn't stop or fight top 10 guys. Jimmy talked about it. Haymonites on Twitter.
Jimmy was talking about it like a year ago. These guys weren't even the top fucking 50.
No, Haymonites looked it all up, and he put out a great thing, and it showed. And if you go back to the history of the WBC, they started in 1961. Out of all heavyweight champions who held the WBC title for 2 or more years, he has the worst resume of any WBC champion in the history of that organization. He fought one fighter who was ranked in the top 10 in his whole championship run. And
now he's ranked number 1.
That was 8th. And
he's
then
still
obviously
number 1.
Fury.
And he's still number 1. How the
Fury,
fuck?
which was a cherry pick gone wrong.
That's the kind of math that makes me understand how we're so in debt in America.
You can pay sanctioning bodies to rank your fighter. That's not even illegal. They all do it. I'm sure they just that Heyman's paid the WBC and Maurice. I mean, think about this, dudes. Fucking his excuse for having to fight Thurman. Well, I have to fight him. It's a mandatory for my belts, but yet you're going to 154. So it's not even for your 147-pound belts. So that completely takes that out. And then when they asked Suleiman, is this gonna cover his mandatory? He actually sat there with that Suleiman look, rubbed his chin. He says, we don't know. We'll see how things play out. Are you fucking serious? They're not even trying to hide the corruption.
Oh wait,
why would you take that fight if you're Thurman? That's there's nothing on the line for him. That's bad. Think about this logically. You're gonna fight a bigger guy and possibly a larger ring. You know, Spence is probably gonna opt for like the Texas-sized ring, which is around 20 feet. And then on top of that, you're gonna have bigger gloves. Nobody's talking about that. He's gonna be fighting with bigger gloves. What Thurman does, he throws volume. If Thurman has a chance,
Thurman did fight at 150.
Thurman throws power.
He's fought at 154 though before. He's a big guy. And the thing about that is, I mean,
he didn't do shit, and he looked like trash.
No, I'm just telling you what's going to happen is that Thurman, even if he loses, he was already promised that he's not going to lose his ranking. So he's going to get to double dip, and we're going to hate it, and he's going to get to do it.
I'm saying for if I was Thurman, this fight should be at 147. I would cut the weight, and I'd risk it for all the shit, and then I would go to 154 and do what Spence is doing right now. Right?
Yeah, if there are no belt, if this fight is at junior middleweight, what's the point? Like, what?
It doesn't. There's no point. It's crazy.
Yeah, the PBC shenanigans, but
PBC thinks that they're just telling us this fight because they're two big names, basically.
This is risk management at its fucking worst. That's what they're doing right now because they know Thurman has the possibility of knocking his ass out potentially. So now it's not for anything, and then if they have to sell Spence off, he still has the belts at 147.
They're gonna give us 3 episodes of All Access. They're gonna give us a bunch of shit before the fight and try to hype us up.
Yeah, that's what I said. Al Heyman keeps his leverage with those belts. That's his leverage in the boxing game. He positions these guys like O'Shaquie Foster and Ray Vargas are fighting for a title, and that was the one that Steph vacated, isn't it?
No, I think that's Schoolboy Steph's fights at 122. This is at like 130.
Well, they're fighting for a title, though, right?
Yeah, this is Shakur's title that he dropped.
Okay. So, like Roberto Romero and Dog Bay Arts are fighting for a title now because it's the title that Navarrete. So these guys, that's exactly how they move, man. I mean, this is the boxing game, and you can kind of predict it when you look at the names and the companies, and then these titles that somehow become vacant, and then their fighters are right in it.
Yep.
You can see the pieces because Golovkin dropped his belt, and you already knew he wasn't gonna fight Falco. Why the fuck would he fight Falco?
But what's he gonna do now? Like,
he's gonna fight Munguia.
I heard someone said that he didn't have any interest in Munguia, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's negotiations, right? I don't want it, but who is he going to make the most money against?
You'll fight Munguia or
Golovkin's going to fight Lara.
Yeah, I'm about to say he'll fight Munguia or Lara.
Well, at the PBC, so Golovkin's going to the PBC.
Good call, on.
PBC,
I don't know.
He's going to break the bank for Golovkin.
They're going to put him on pay-per-view.
Golovkin Lara? That's not gonna do nothing.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, boy, what if you get a good undercard? That's not bad. It's better than Benavidez-Plant. I'll tell you that much. I would sooner buy.
It was gonna be.
Well, you see, Golovkin still got belts, so that's a bargaining chip for him.
Yeah.
The PBC wants
but he dropped that other strap, and you already knew it was gonna happen. We're saying, he's gonna have 2 mandatories. He was never gonna fight Falco. Like,
how many straps he got right now? 1 or 2?
He's only one. You got that.
Yeah.
Got one.
There's still a bargaining chip. Yeah, the PBC wants to get their hands on those because if they beat Golovkin and they got a title, they can promote their fights with a better selling point.
That's what I'm
just by having the word WBC.
Hey guys, I'm gonna end the show. All right. So Yeah, I want to thank everybody who joined, and we'll see you, I guess, on Sunday. Well, anyways.
All right.
See ya.
All right.
Peace.